Lost internet. Okay, and I'm still having issues with my stream here. Great. And I'm still having issues. All right, we're back. Great. All right. Back ski. Yes, we're back. Yeah, I had my internet drop out entirely, so that was not fun. Whatever. Honestly, I just don't care. Nice try, Masan. Yeah, right. Yeah, maybe if you don't, maybe if you guys don't want those conspiracies starting, maybe, just maybe. Yeah. I'm just kidding. All right, let's keep this going.
Presumably of.
Bahrain has confirmed there have been attacks inside its territory. This is the moment a missile hit the U.S.'s Fifth Fleet headquarters in Bahrain's capital, Manama. Bahrain's National Communications Center has confirmed other attacks targeting sites and facilities within its borders and has condemned those attacks.
Oh, nice, Ross.
Let's bring in Rory Challens in Amman, Jordan, for more on what's been happening in the region and the reaction, Rory.
Yeah, well, certainly for people here in Amman, in the capital of Jordan, it was a pretty noisy morning with the sounds of jet fighters. You could hear quite clearly up in the sky, and then repeated booms, presumably of air defense or similar things reverberating around the skyline. We have heard from the Jordanian military that 2 ballistic missiles were intercepted and successfully neutralized by the Jordanian air defense systems. And indeed, there has been footage that emerged of some flaming debris that apparently landed on a house or near a house in the Marj al-Hammam area of the capital, but no injuries have been reported. Now,
you might go in
Jordan,
and out.
like many parts of this region, many countries in this region, hosts U.S. military forces. Now, the Jordanians have a big airbase, Muwafaq Salti Air Base, which is about 100 kilometers east of the capital. That has lots and lots of U.S. planes, or certainly did very recently. 60 to 70 combat aircraft were documented there. There were Chinese satellite pictures that showed very clearly where they were on the air apron and on the strips of that airbase. The Iranians put out an AI video showing that this airbase was going to be targeted in the event of any attack by the United States or by Israel on Iran. And this has been part of Iran's wider pressure campaign against countries like Jordan, like UAE, like Saudi Arabia, etc., to basically tell them, if you are hosting U.S. military capabilities...
Yes. I lost internet, guys. Literally nothing special. I just had an internet hiccup.
Regardless of
whether... Which
means
that, yes, I'm going to have to call somebody about that.
You are letting those military capabilities be used in any
attack
on Iran. It doesn't matter to Iran.
I think I know what's up.
Iran will still see those as legitimate targets and will strike back. Now, I have to say, for the moment, Jordan seems to have got away relatively unscathed. But, you know, this is very early on in this conflict, and things are certainly able to escalate. Other countries in the region, we've been seeing attacks in Bahrain and UAE, in Saudi Arabia and Iraq as well, are not quite have not escaped as quite as unscathed as Jordan has at the moment. But I think we have heard about 40 minutes ago the all-clear air raid siren going out, suggesting that the danger has passed for the moment. But
all right, Natch, take care, man.
Fresh barrages on the way.
Appreciate you being here, man.
Rory Challens live for us in Amman, Jordan. Rory, thank you.
Knew it. I tripped over. No. I didn't trip over anything. going. Here we go.
All right, we are live on this Saturday morning, February 28th. MS Now live coverage of the breaking news overnight and developing this morning. The U.S. and Israel launching major combat operations against Iran in the early hours of this morning. Iran has already responded with retaliatory strikes of its own against Israel and other countries in the region, including Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar. In a social media post confirming the U.S. attacks, President Trump called for the overthrow of Iran's government and urged the Iranian people to rise up.
Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations.
Over the past week, Willie...
they are saying that's why he chose Fridays, so the markets are closed.
David Ignatius and I have been talking to the negotiators who... U.S. negotiators or people around the negotiators who had a very positive view of progress that was being made. In my conversation with the president yesterday afternoon, though, he said the next 2 weeks will be very interesting and suggested that he needed to do something that no other president had been able to do since 1979. That's get rid of Iran's terror regime. I will say this morning, talking to our allies in the Gulf region, many obviously very concerned. One telling me that the United States and Israel attacked Iran, and yet they're facing no blowback from it. It's only the United States' allies. So,
well, if the Strait of Hormuz is closed, then yeah, it's fucked.
If you attack, that's fine, but let us know, and then be able to protect us. That said, though, Willie, one or two countries in the region have already voiced support for this attack.
Yeah, we talk about the UAE.
It's already shut
Bahrain,
down.
Kuwait,
They already shut it down.
Qatar. Those are home
like the first
to
thing they
American
did.
military bases that have come under attack since this joint strike from the United States and Israel inside of Iran, where, as we've been saying, if you're just waking up here at the top of the hour, 8 o'clock on the East Coast, the President of the United States, and you just heard it there, calling directly for regime change. It's not implied here. It's not something that he may think about later. He's saying this is about taking out the regime that effectively has been in place since 1979. David Ignatius has been reporting this morning that the Supreme Leader was, in fact, a target. David is with us, along with MS Now senior national security reporter David Rohde, MS Now national security and intelligence analyst, former CIA officer Mark Polymeropoulos, and retired Lieutenant General Mark Herdling. A great group assembled to walk through this. David Ignatius, let me begin with you for people who are just waking up. Just where we are right now and how diplomacy failed apparently in the last 24 to 48 hours to bring about these strikes.
Willie, to briefly summarize, the negotiators close to the process, the talks have been,
I think a few tankers still got through today, but it's not going to be, or it's going to be fully shut down.
Place in
I mean, it's shut down right now.
An Iranian offer that was close to President Trump's demand, close to an assurance that Iran will not have a nuclear weapon in the future.
By the way, guys, since we had to restart stream, if you guys can do me the solid, hit the like button and sub to the channel if you haven't already and are enjoying the content. But definitely hit the like button. Helps me out.
But I think there was very limited trust in those assurances. And it's clear that the president had a broader, deeper goal in mind, that he wanted to go to the heart. This regime is unpopular in the region, unpopular from everything we can see at home, and has decided on this very ambitious course. We all recall President Dave Petraeus, general in Iraq, his question as the Iraq war was unfolding in 2003, tell me how this ends. Nobody has an answer for that question in Iran. Just to share some new information, talking to sources in the Gulf, they describe Iran's missile attacks in response response to the U.S. attacks on Iran as
going back to bed
in terms of intensity.
All right, Ryan.
But lots of countries were targeted. So broad, but not
Stay
having
safe.
the kind of devastating effect that those countries feared. The UAE says it was successful in shooting down all the Iranian missiles that were coming. There is, among these Gulf countries, an expectation of future attacks on oil infrastructure and Gulf shipping, which would have a significant economic effect on energy prices if they're carried out. I also would note that the Saudi government just issued a statement expressing full solidarity and unwavering support for regional countries that have been hit by Iranian strikes. So in that sense, Saudi Arabia seems to be now openly voicing support.
Why did we hit the girls' school first?
For the U.S.
Again, I thought that we were trying to save...
position
again, it doesn't make any sense
against Iran. So those are a few new developments.
Here, we got a new development. Let's do this.
Sources that the Ayatollah is dead. This is breaking news again coming from Israeli sources that the Ayatollah, the supreme leader of Iran, is dead. Again, we're going to go to Jeremy Diamond. Jeremy, the strikes coming this morning that were targeting senior leadership. That's what we knew. Targeting senior leadership there in Iran. And now we can say from Israeli sources that the
Again, Israeli sources are the only ones saying this. Plus, we already said this, by the way. So if you're going like, boom.
Ayatollah of Iran, the supreme leader,
got him,
is dead.
It's like, we reported on this a few, 20 minutes ago?
What more are you learning there in
Thanks, Ryan.
Israel?
That's right, Jessica. Two Israeli sources telling me and my colleague Tal Shalev that Israel has confirmed that the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has been killed as a result of those Israeli strikes that took place earlier today. One of these sources saying that Israel actually has photographic evidence of Khamenei showing his dead body. The second source told me that an official announcement is in the works, although it is possible that the Israelis will allow President Trump and the United States to make this announcement officially. But this is enormous breaking news here.
The thing is, they don't want to have egg on their face if the dude like makes a fucking video saying just like, haha, missed me.
That the Israeli government is confirming that the supreme leader of Iran was killed in Israeli strikes earlier today. This is a day that many Israeli government officials have hoped would come eventually. It is also, we should note, a day that many Iranian dissidents, Iranian protesters had hoped would eventually come. And indeed, it has come now. And it is an earth-shattering moment for the Middle East and for the future of Iran. We should note, however, that the supreme leader's death is not necessarily indicative of the Iran regime collapsing altogether. This regime is not...
No, the president's still alive. We had confirmation on that one.
...based off of one person alone. It is a system
Al Jazeera's got some updates, so we'll go to that in a minute.
That the supreme leader understood very well that he could potentially be targeted for assassination should the United States and Israel choose to carry out massive strikes on Iran as they did today. And in recent weeks and months, he has been preparing for potential lines of succession should that actually take place. Now, we are still...
This is the same shit, and Trump is going to... He's going to be like, we won, we got the Ayatollah.
Waiting, of course.
There's gonna be an uprising, and you know what? I brought peace to the Middle East.
For any confirmation from the United States as well.
Same regime, still in power, same fucking bullshit.
To the supreme leader having been killed, but two Israeli sources familiar with the matter telling us now that the supreme leader was killed in Israeli strikes today. One last note on this is that we have also been hearing about the division.
Even if he did die, it literally changes nothing. Yeah, I know.
Of labor between the United States.
But everything's symbolic with MAGA, because again,
and Israel.
They don't understand actual geopolitics. They just understand, I was watching the news and that Ayatollah guy, I was told that he was bad and from the 70s and Donald Trump got him, so yay Trump.
As it pertains to these strikes, U.S. officials
I don't give a shit.
Have been very
honestly, I don't give a shit about Iran's sovereignty, or not sovereignty, but I don't give a shit about who's in charge of Iran. I don't give a fuck.
Clear.
Okay? Is that what you want? Because honestly, I'm going to be honest about it. At least I am honest about it. I don't give a fuck what happens in Iran. I don't live there. I have nothing to do with it. What I don't want is my tax money going to a war that had absolutely no business happening.
That their strikes have been focused on...
I'm pretty fucking consistent in that. Again, it's kind of weird how the left kind of outflanked the America Firsters.
Military targets, and that the strikes targeting senior Iranian leaders, such as the Supreme Leader, were being conducted by...
We just didn't expect you guys to abandon your principled positions that you didn't want any new wars. You didn't want billions of dollars going to these foreign countries for these foreign wars.
Israel and not by the United States. Ultimately, that may very well be a distinction without a difference.
Also, I heard from MAGA how Kamala was going to be a warmonger.
Given the high level of coordination between the United States and Israel in preparing and carrying out these strikes. But this is obviously an enormous
Why should we give a fuck? We shouldn't. Yeah.
In the middle.
Let them solve their own shit. It's almost like this is kind of like the whole thing with MAGA. MAGA is so focused on other people's lives that they never focus on theirs. They never focus on their finances. They never focus on anything bad happening to them. And the second that they do recognize that something bad's happening, they blame the left instead of blaming who's actually in charge.
East, something that we anticipated could potentially...
Yeah, 2 years in, we still hear, but Biden!
...be a target of any Israeli or U.S. strikes on Iran. And indeed, now not only a target, but confirmed by Israeli sources that the Supreme Leader of Iran is dead.
Indeed, big news out of the Middle East, the potential to reshape so many dynamics there. But again, as Jeremy notes, not a straight line to regime change. This is a piece of it, but it is a big...
Why? Because I'm right.
...piece of it. This is enormous news. Jeremy, I want you to stand by because we have seen those missiles that have been coming to Israel throughout the day. So stay with us. I do want to bring Jim Sciutto back in.
Wait, this would have never happened if Biden hadn't ended the nuclear deal?
Jim.
I think he's kidding. But if he's not, then he's certified.
This is very big news. And again, Jeremy,
Hillary's emails.
And so help people understand, contextualize for them that what this means, that Iran's Supreme Leader has been
such beta bitches. They really are
killed in these strikes by the U.S. and Israel.
These strikes are now officially decapitation strikes, right? Strikes that were intended via Israeli military action, to be clear, to take out Iran's most senior leadership. And the man you see there, Ali Khamenei, is Iran's most senior leader with enormous, certainly political power in that country, but also religious authority in that country. The structure of Iranian government being that, yes, it has a president elected, but the supreme leader lies at the top of the government. And that is that man you see speaking there, which Israeli sources are now telling CNN was killed in these strikes. Again, to my point earlier, Jessica, prior to this morning, there'd been an enormous amount of speculation as to just how far the U.S. was willing to go, but Israel as well, if they were striking together. And now we know they were willing to go as far as taking out Iran's most senior leader. Now, we had reported earlier that he was not the only target of these strikes, that other senior military and other leaders in Iran were targeted. We don't know their status at this point, but as we reported,
Israeli spokesperson says that 7 top commanders have been killed.
Earlier in the day, Israeli officials
I'm not sure if
confident over time today that they had hit.
Believe anything coming out from Israel. I'm going to be real. They did it to them fucking selves, too.
They had hit at least some of their targets. Listen, in Iran, does that mean that suddenly there will be a new government, a new leader, one friendlier to the U.S.? No. An enormous network and structure of leadership and power remains in that country, military, economic, political, and otherwise. But to take out the supreme leader is a significant change. And of course, the question is, how far does that change go? Does it weaken the government to the degree that the government collapses? Does it weaken it to a degree that...
To be fair, you did just kind of say that it was like he was symbolic. These motherfuckers never, like, they just don't absorb any of this.
The protesters.
That's fucking hilarious.
That we saw take on this government quite bravely in recent weeks are inspired to go out into the street.
No. You want to know what the Polymarket odds are saying? Because that's who I looked to kind of get a gauge on what, the people with the money are saying. They think that it's going to be a military coup.
Again.
They think that, like, the military is going to take over and it's going to be even worse for the Iranian people.
Right? I mean, that's what President Trump was encouraging them to do explicitly in a statement
we'll
this
see.
morning. Now, that's quite a risky proposition, given that government retains enormous power, and they showed they were willing to use it to deadly extent in the many thousands of protesters they killed in recent weeks. Those are still the open questions, but we have one question answered. Was Israel willing to go so far as to take out the supreme leader of Iran? And the answer is yes, and they had success doing so.
Right. And now the big question is what comes next? Jim Sciutto, stand by. I want to bring in Barak Ravid, CNN political and global affairs analyst. He's also a global affairs correspondent at Axios. Barak, I know you spoke with President Trump earlier today. Again, if you are just joining us, our breaking news is that Iran's supreme leader has been killed in these strikes. That is coming from Israeli sources. Barak, we're still waiting to hear from the president, from the U.S. government, but the Israeli sources confirming that. What more are you learning? What did the president tell you?
So first, just about Khamenei, I think around 30, 40 minutes ago, the Israeli ambassador to Washington, Yechiel Leiter, updated several.
Oh, got another update.
At 24 past with the breaking news, multiple reports now cite Israeli officials, that being the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and others, who say that Iran's supreme leader is dead. Iran counters that by saying he is alive and well. I should add, MS Now has yet to confirm any of this. But again, we are getting multiple reports, whether they are being sourced exclusively to Benjamin Netanyahu, who made the suggestion that there are many indicators that has happened. We don't know yet. Again, this is in the fog of war. We are trying to get all this confirmed for all of you. But let's bring in right now Sam Mednick, Associated Press correspondent covering Israel and the Palestinian territories. What are you hearing on this front, Sam?
Well, as you mentioned, we are still reporting this out as well. But what we are hearing and what Netanyahu said is that there are growing signs that the supreme leader has been killed. Israeli officials are also seem to be saying that there are signs that he has been killed as well. But we haven't heard confirmation from the U.S. yet, or as you mentioned, from Iran either. But it seems like the trend right now is going in that direction. And we do know that early this morning, Israel was targeting Iran's top leadership, including Khamenei.
Give us a sense of what you are hearing there, whether it is news reports locally, what people are saying. What is the very latest from there, Sam?
Well, on the ground here, people have been running to and from shelters pretty much all day since there were strikes this morning. The U.S. and Israel struck Iran. There have just been air alarms. People are going to the shelters. Israel has had a heightened sense of emergency, telling people to just basically be careful. Just an hour ago, also, there was interceptors in the sky. You could kind of hear the booms going off. And so everyone here is sort of on a heightened.
By the way, guys, if you guys want to help support the stream, hit the like button and subscribe, because I'm not able to monetize this because we are talking about Israel.
Sense right now and bracing for what is going to come next. But
yeah, we live in a day and age where they're demonetizing anything that says Epstein or Israel. But tell me how fucking transparent this administration is and how awesome everything is.
Israelis here.
How there's no censorship.
Also,
the funniest part is it's affecting right-wingers too. That's how I know that this is actually happening. Because I was just on Twitter and I was just seeing some complaints coming from fucking Timcast himself saying, oh, so if we talk about Israel, then we get demonetized. It's just like, yeah. And I just saw that I had the same thing happen to me. Cool.
Saying that they are
cool.
Are happy about this.
If you guys are enjoying this content and you want to contribute to the show, consider doing a $2 super chat or a membership to the channel. Really helps me out. And I also have a link in the description that helps out the cancer fund.
They are supporting this offensive, that they want what they say the threat of Iran to just be finished, and they're willing to endure attacks injuries, they say even death, if this is going to finally be done. And people are saying that they are hoping that it is true that Khamenei is killed, although still there is this concern. What comes next? Even if he is killed, that doesn't mean that there is any assurances as what comes after is going to be any better, is what they're saying.
And Sam, what have you seen and heard in terms of what's been happening in the skies? Has there been a lot of fireworks, evidence that the Iron Dome has been effectively working? Have there been any reports of missiles and or drone strikes getting through?
There have been reports that people have been injured, a few dozen people, the services here say, but light injuries, and no one so far has been reported to be killed. But you can see pretty much all night it has been extremely busy. You hear these alarms, and then you see in the sky with their interceptors, they kind of flash bright lights, and then there's this boom that you're hearing. And we're hearing it a lot here in Tel Aviv, and also, though, in other parts of the country, in Jerusalem, in northern Israel. A lot of people have said to sort of brace for a not quiet night, for this to kind of continue throughout the night and into the morning and for the next few days. It's been quiet for the last hour, but previously it was every 20 minutes people were running to the shelters. The alarms were just constantly going off.
Okay, Sam Mednick, please get back to us if you find out anything further with regard to what's happening there in Israel, if it's of a breaking news nature. Thank you so much for that. Joining me now, we have Hugo Lowell, White House correspondent for The Guardian, and Joel Rubin, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State and author of The Briefing Book on Substack. Joel, you first here. Benjamin Netanyahu saying there are many signs Iran's supreme leader was killed in the attacks. They're getting further confirmation from other sources, though we have yet to confirm it. And we should say that the Iranian officials are contradicting it and saying that the supreme leader, as well as the president, is alive and well. But how plausible is this, and what happens next if it is true?
Oh, Luigi Lopez.
Well, Alex, it's great to be with you. And this would be an earthquake in the region if the reports are true and if the supreme leader has been killed in these strikes. And quite frankly, I don't think the prime minister would go out and say that unless he had
It's actually responsible reporting, because if there's no confirmation from anyone but Israeli sources, you do have to grain of salt that.
Very strong evidence pointing to that end. And for the Iranian leadership, they want to keep the image of the supreme leader alive right now, because if he is gone, what that does is it sort of pulls the plug out from the tub, so to speak, of the unity of the Iranian regime. Right. And now one of the things we were talking about in your previous segment, I have to add, is the dangers of regime change. But I'm not sure that regime change is the policy objective here. Quite frankly, just regime collapse being the policy, to me, is what we're looking at. And so if the supreme leader is gone, then the chips will start to fall in a variety of different directions. And the military operation will focus more on the hardware and the other threats, the military threats and capabilities of the Islamic Republic.
Hang on, Joel. How can that be when the president himself, in that 8-minute video, essentially washed his hands of what comes next? He said, basically, we're launching the bombs. We're going to create the opening for Iranians to walk through and take over control of their country. And yet you're suggesting that it's just about collapse. If that happens, is the United States left holding the bag?
Yeah, that's right. Look, Alex, I think that's essentially what the president is saying, is that we, the United States, are going to do this, take this action, collapse the regime, kill the leadership, the supreme leader, and then it's up to you, Iranian people.
Just had it brought to my attention that all these leaders that are sending everybody willfully into new wars, they're all over the age of 70.
To chart your own path, your own future. A very different model.
Just a reminder that, you know, they're on their way out
from what was discussed earlier in Iraq, which is that the United
Seems like they don't care if the rest of us come with them.
The Colin Powell rule, the Pottery Barn rule, you break it, you buy it, and you
Hey,
own it.
Clarence Sellers, hello.
Not in this case, no. I don't think so at all. I think it is a very different mindset about what comes next. And President Trump is arguing, I think, that he just says it's up to the Iranians and I'm not going to get us involved on the ground.
Hugo, what are you hearing about all this? And let me just tell our viewers that you've been on your phone. You've been constantly reporting back and forth as you've been sitting here on the set.
Yeah, I think, I'm looking at a couple of things. First of all, the administration, senior administration officials have been briefing that the principal reason for why they went in and did these strikes was to take out the missile systems in in Iran. It was less to do with the nuclear program this time around. But that being said, there have been a number of explanations over the course of the last 2 weeks that the administration has provided for why the administration might want to go into Iran. 2 weeks ago, there was a Gang of Eight briefing where officials were telling members of Congress that the motivation was because there was evidence of restarted activity at the enrichment sites at Fordo and Natanz and Isfahan. I think what is interesting this time around is the fact that it is such a targeted set of strikes on the leadership, on the mullahs, and on Ayatollah Khamenei.
It's Goldie. Hello.
Trickling through to us over the course of today that the Israelis and certainly the intel community have been tracking Khamenei's movements, and they've been trying to see whether or not they could get them all in a room at the same time. And I think the fact that, the administration, the Israelis are coming forward and saying, well, we believe Khamenei is dead, kind of speaks to that and kind of how the administration was thinking and how the administration was proceeding. I think you also have to see this in the wider context of how this week has gone. We reported on Monday that part of how Trump would approach strikes, it was going to hinge on whether Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner thought there was progress towards a deal at the Thursday negotiations in Geneva.
Which they didn't.
Which they didn't. No. On Friday, Trump gets a briefing from the CENTCOM commander, Admiral Cooper, and Dan Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. And then Friday night and Saturday, we see these strikes go out. And so this has been building up now for some time.
Tell me, when the strikes were unfolding in real time, who was watching? Who was in control?
Situation room, White House. Thanks for covering this. Our brand of coverage is perfect for some of the most awful news. You help make this digestible.
Oh, thanks, Satch. I really appreciate that.
What was happening at Mar-a-Lago?
Also, thank you for the follow.
Yeah, Trump's been at Mar-a-Lago. Rubio flew down last night. So I think the principals committee, the principals who were involved in planning this were with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Pete Hegseth was there. John Ratcliffe was there. CIA Director Susie Wiles, the White House Chief of Staff. From what we understand from our colleagues, J.D. Vance had a live link from the Situation Room into their set-up war room at Mar-a-Lago. So all the principals, were involved in this. Tulsi Gabbard was also part of this group. She was obviously left out.
She was in Washington?
We believe so.
At the White House? Okay. All right, guys, thank you so much.
Stay away from him. Oh, thank you for the sub. I appreciate that. Age Main Samuel. Appreciate that. Here, let's get this going. Okay. Sorry, I had to make sure that my internet was up to par. Let's get an update on this. Oh, we got Security Council is in the middle of meeting. Alright, so this was in Tel Aviv, I'm guessing. Is my dog a sheepdog? No. He is a English foxhound.
You are
Yeah, this is Tel Aviv.
Which? Okay, where all the...
Trump is trash. Yes, he is.
The filmers, all the Katabim.
I'm high-class trash.
All the interview. Yes, where all the power before?
Love to see it.
There's a report of some possible damage at.
By the way, Doof, welcome to the show. Appreciate having you here.
Dubai.
Hit that subscribe button and hit the like button as well. Helps out the stream. I've already lost the stream once because of my freaking shitty ass internet.
International airport as well. Okay, this is going on in Tel Aviv right now. Look at this. This is Tel Aviv. They're bringing out maybe somebody for medical assistance. Hold on a second. I want to make sure I'm not showing. Right, hold on. They were bringing somebody out from that building on a stretcher. Look at, there's the damage right here. This is Tel Aviv, Israel. After the latest, it looks like damage in Tel Aviv.
Breaking: Trump believes reporting that Iran's supreme leader is that the supreme leader is dead is indeed correct.
From
let's see,
some sort of maybe that's a direct hit.
Until we have confirmation, I ain't going to confirm shit.
It's a missile that was intercepted in debris. I don't know. But
I'm somehow going to be
that is in Tel Aviv, Israel. You're looking at damage right now from Tel Aviv, Israel. They have stretchers there to bring people out. Okay, we have alerts going on in Tel Aviv. Hold on a moment. Give me a moment. We have alerts in Tel Aviv right now.
All right, let's see. Yes, we know Israel has reported that Ayatollah Khamenei is dead. It's about as much as we got. We've also heard that Trump thinks so too, but he also hasn't confirmed it. So I'm just kind of keeping an eye on everything. Going to get the Oh, damn. Brian Tyler Cohen started some shit with Tim Pool. Dave Smith. Donald Trump, you're a fucking traitor. Damn, dude. Dave's pissed. Qatar won't help us launch a war of aggression for Israel, but Israel will help us launch a war of aggression for Israel.
Hold on, I gotta get the Tel Aviv on the screen. Maybe another intercept.
Oh man!
And more interceptors going up right now.
Oh no!
You can see, it looks like those interceptors at the bottom there going up. Looking at one at the bottom of the screen, in the distance there. No sirens at the moment in this area, although maybe the sirens are in the distance.
Yeah, no, that happened last time.
According to the so far map, the current alerts are to the east of Tel Aviv.
Bosch is covering Cat Abu Ghazaleh.
So, all right. So now we just saw. Hold on. Watch this on the lower left. Lower left. Boom. We might have just seen an interception right there on the lower left. Boom. I don't know if that's an impact or we saw two flashes maybe an interception there. Look, you can see the smoke. See the smoke there? So that may have been another interception right there. Again, that's probably looking to the east. I don't know for sure, but on the SOFAR red alert map, there were a bunch of alerts to the east of Tel Aviv.
Oh, it's the dude who can't pronounce Beersheba. I mean, I'm not sure if I did.
And there's been another. We have a live shot from Tel Aviv of a site that's been damaged, which we're going to send you back to in a second. But I want to stay on this for a second.
All right, I'll come back to that in a minute. Here we go. Wow, so pixelated. So, okay. Oh, so Iron Dome isn't a total scam? Well, it seems to do its job, but this is, we talked about this earlier, where it's like, the last time this happened, they depleted a lot of it, and then that's when you started seeing more stuff hit. Apparently there was a hit all the way. Okay, let's take a look here.
In Tel Aviv, after another recent.
Yeah, so this is the damage from
that. Are those drones flying around on this camera? I think we're seeing some drones.
Yes.
This is Tel Aviv, Israel, at the bottom, after a recent hit. It looks like a recent damage from some sort of missile or missile debris or something.
Yep. Okay.
U.S. officials and members of Congress that Israeli intelligence.
Hold on, guys. I'm trying to look for an update on the meeting. I'm checking some sources. All right, let's check AP. Associated Press. I don't care about that.
The U.S. is now engaged in military operations against Iran, and Trump just left a big clue as to why on his Truth Social. He wrote, quote, Iran tried to interfere in 2020, 2024 elections to stop Trump, and now faces renewed war with the United States. And then Trump links an article from the highly regarded and famed outlet Just the News, which totally checks out. So why does this matter? Because by using this claim as the justification for a war, he kills two birds with one stone.
Yep.
First off, this is an instance of wagging the dog, right? Trump is woefully unpopular at home. He is failing on his signature campaign promise to lower costs. He's embroiled in a pedophile sex trafficking ring scandal, and his ICE deployments are so unpopular that he didn't even mention the word ICE one single time at his State of the Union speech.
Yep.
So what does he do? Well, I'm not going to tell you. I'm actually going to
2.5 hours, not one mention.
Trump tell you in his own words. 2011, in order to get elected, Barack Obama will start a war with Iran. 2012, I always said Barack Obama will start a war with Iran in some form prior to the election. Also 2012, now that Obama's poll numbers are in a tailspin, watch for him to launch a strike in Libya or Iran. He is desperate. Also 2012, don't let Obama play the Iran card in order to start a war.
All right, Ryan, I'll catch you later, man.
Be careful, Republicans. Or this from 2011.
Unfortunately, we have a president that doesn't know the first thing about negotiation. We have a real problem in the White House. So, I believe that he will attack Iran sometime prior to the election because he thinks that's the only way he can get elected. Isn't it pathetic?
or this from 2012.
You know, I've said before, I think Obama will go to war with Iran because I think he views it as good politically, and that's pretty sad, and it's a pretty sad thing to have to say. But I think he will absolutely go to war with Iran. I think he views that as a positive from a political standpoint, and I think he's just waiting for the right moment. And I think Iran better be damn careful because they are overplaying their hand, just like Gaddafi and just like Saddam Hussein.
So if you're wondering what Trump's mindset is here, he already gave it to you. But here's the second reason that he wants this war against Iran over this idea that Iran rigged the 2020 or 2024 elections to stop him. In his mind, the war legitimizes that claim, which he will then use to claim extraordinary powers to suspend or change election rules in 2026 and beyond. And if you think that's me being alarmist, consider the fact that his White House quite literally this week begun circulating a memo. It would be an executive order that gives them the power to do exactly that. I spoke with Mark Elias about that point. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, so the memo is bonkers. I mean, let's just lay it out at the beginning that nothing I'm about to describe makes any sense. So if as I go along, you're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Right. It doesn't make any sense. This is a bonkers memo. But look, it was only a few weeks ago that Donald Trump posted on social media, and we'll put it up right here. I have searched the depths of legal arguments not yet articulated or vetted on this subject and will be presenting an irrefutable one in the very near future. Okay, this was cryptic. First of all, why is legal capital L and arguments capital A?
Yeah, that's a 10-year battle that we've been waging. But
what does it mean that they are not yet articulated or vetted? What does this all mean? Well, look, this may be very well what Donald Trump had read, this crazy memo that says, under these unrelated federal statutes, he has the power to declare an emergency, and that somehow that emergency power would then give him the power to disrupt voting, to not let certain voting equipment be used, to ban mail-in ballots. You know, the irony of all of this, Brian, is that the memo cites two statutes. One is the National Emergencies Act, which is not relevant. And the other is the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Now, if that sounds familiar, Brian, that is because that is actually the statute that Donald Trump relied on to impose the tariffs that the U.S. Supreme Court said he doesn't have the authority to use for tariffs. So what on earth leads him to believe he has this power to somehow take over elections under a statute that they've actually said he can't even use for tariffs, that is actually supposed to govern emergency economic powers? I mean, it's bonkers, but Brian, it's also terribly worrisome. And it is
the biggest question is, what are we going to do when he steals the elections? What are we going to do?
Big threat to democracy as we
actually going to do anything?
What I'm worried about here, Brian,
I mean, this is insane. He's literally openly threatening to just be like, nope, I'm going to rig the whole thing because they already tried. I wanted to send ICE, but now we just can't even have them.
I'm going to stand up. I mean, I've already said it and I'll say it again now. If Donald Trump signs an executive order trying to take over any aspect of voting, and I mean any aspect, even 1 centimeter of voting, he's going to get sued by me and my law firm, and we're going to beat him like a drum. Last time he tried to do it in an executive order, that's what we did. We sued and we won. And this one, we will sue again. And
thank God that this guy's on the case.
Brian, what worries me,
that helps.
What worries me is that the legacy media is treating this with respect and with plausibility and elevating it as if it is something other than a crackpot theory. I mean, the Washington Post, which kudos, was the first news outlet to cover this.
You'd think.
It says in the sub-headline, activists who say they are in coordination with the White House are circulating a draft executive order that would unlock extraordinary presidential power over voting. I'm sorry, unlock? No. It's not unlocking power. It is making up out of thin air. It is an authoritarian takeover. It is a wannabe dictator, promulgating something that violates the Constitution. How the hell does the legacy media refer to this as unlocking extraordinary presidential power?
Yeah, Stas Koo was in Chicago. Yeah,
there is no extraordinary
I'm gonna cover that in a little bit.
Over presidential power over voting to be unlocked.
And of course, to watch the full episode with Mark Elias and any of my other interviews, make sure to subscribe to this channel. It is and always will be 100% free, but it's a great way to support my work. That link is right here on the screen. But in other words, Donald Trump gets everything he needs. He distracts from his disastrous domestic policy failures, and he gets some lame pretext to usurp control of the election in the United States by doubling down on his insane conspiracy theories about how Iran meddled in the election, and now that we're at war, he needs all these sweeping powers for national security that he has to exercise. Remember, Trump does not do anything that doesn't help Trump. He is not interested in spreading democracy abroad. Hell, he's responsible for contracting democracy right here at home. This guy's not some champion for civil rights. He's an aspiring autocrat whose only priority is himself and his grip on power. The problem is that he's too ham-handed not to drop 1,000 clues about exactly why he does everything that he's...
No, he is really bad at that. If you just listen to him, he like literally tells on himself all the fucking time. It's kind of stupid. No, it's really stupid. All right. Oh, gotta...
Peacefully merge with the Iranian patriots and work...
All right, Khomeini, one of the most evil people in history, is dead. This is not only justice for the people of Iran, but great for all Americans and those people from many countries throughout the world that have been killed or mutilated by Khomeini and his gang of bloodthirsty thugs. He was unable to avoid our intelligence and highly sophisticated tracking system and working closely with Israel. There was not a thing he or others that could that have been killed along with him could do. This is the single greatest chance for the Iranian people to take back their country. We are hearing that many in the IRGC, military, and other security police forces no longer want to fight and are looking for immunity from us. As I said last night, now they can have immunity. Later, they will only have. I'm not gonna say that. Hopefully, the IRGC and police will peacefully merge with the Iranian patriots and work together as a unit to bring back the country and the greatness it deserves. That process should soon be starting in that. Not only the death of Khomeini and the country has been in only one day very much destroyed. Jesus Christ. Even obliterated. The heavy pinpoint bombing, however, will continue uninterrupted throughout the week or as long as necessary to achieve our... so there's still the commitment to war.
Together as a unit to bring back the country to the great guard and police interrupted throughout the week, I guess that's next week, or as long as necessary to achieve our objective.
I was like, faded out on that one.
Let me go back to the... Here is Tel Aviv, where apparently it appears that there has been a missile hit at this location. That's what it looks like.
Jesus Christ, Steve.
Hang on a moment here. You can see there's some very significant damage at this building in the Tel Aviv area. Reza Pahlavi just posted, the son of the last leader of Iran before the revolution. If I can find it here.
Yeah, great.
Reza Pahlavi, let me read you his post. So Reza Pahlavi says, my fellow compatriots, Ali Khamenei, the bloodthirsty Zahak of our time, the killer of tens of thousands of Iran's bravest sons and daughters, has been erased from the pages of history, says Reza Pahlavi. With his death...
That's not how that works.
Yes, the Islamic Republic has effectively come to an end, he claims, and will soon be consigned to the dustbin of history, says Reza Pahlavi. Any attempt by the remnants of the regime to appoint a successor to Khamenei is doomed to failure from the outset, he says. Whoever they place in his stead will have neither legitimacy nor survival, and without doubt, they will also be complicit in the crimes of this regime. Again, this is a new post from Reza Pahlavi, the son of the Shah of Iran, who many protesters in Iran were supportive of recently. To the military, security, and police forces, he says, any effort to prop up a collapsing regime is condemned to defeat. This is your last chance to join the people, to help ensure Iran's stable transition to a free and prosperous future, and to have a share in building that future. Reza Pahlavi says the death of the criminal Khamenei, while it cannot bring back the spilled blood, can serve as a balm for the scorched hearts of the grieving families, the fathers and mothers, spouses and children in mourning, and the families of the selfless martyrs of Iran's Line and Sun national revolution. Noble and brave people of Iran, says Reza Pahlavi, this marks the beginning of our great national celebration, but it is not the end of the road. Stay vigilant and prepared. The time for a massive and decisive presence in the streets is very near, says Reza Pahlavi. Together, united and steadfast, we will secure the final victory, and we will celebrate Iran's freedom across our Ahura-created homeland. That is from Reza Pahlavi.
That was something. All right. Some breaking news.
Oh, I think Trey Yingst is there. Is that Trey Yingst from Fox right there? That might be Trey Yingst. I'm not sure.
U.S. base in Saudi Arabia is now under attack.
The site of a direct impact in Tel Aviv, and I want to just show you the scene behind me. First responders are digging through the rubble. They are looking for survivors. We have already seen them on our cameras pull out two civilians from this area. This entire block completely destroyed by an Iranian ballistic missile.
This is a missile. This is a missile strike area. Missile is hit in Tel Aviv.
Here, I'm going to pull up this audio real quick. We don't need his bullshit.
Donald Trump's announcement there of the grave threat to international security that this moment is posing. Antonio Guterres, UN Secretary General, talking about condemning the attacks on Iran and indeed Iran's retaliation. Many countries, France spoke of the need for diplomatic solutions and de-escalation. Katrina is still with us. Katrina calls for de-escalation right at the moment where Donald Trump is posting on social media that the Supreme Leader has been killed.
All right, so it's true. He's trying. All right, so Trump is now like, all right, I got what I wanted out of this. Can we now just cut it out so I don't get blamed for having us in a forever war? I don't want them to blame me saying that, oh, I accidentally started the new Iraq. Which, yeah, it really does seem like that's what happened. Is he started the new Iraq.
Unable to be reached at the time. But Congress was not briefed. President Trump, in his own words, said he is pursuing war and regime change without congressional approval and without clearly showing there. Joining me now, we have Massachusetts Congressman Seth Moulton. He serves on the House Armed Services Committee and is an Iraq War combat veteran. Congressman, it's always good to speak with you, but let's get right into Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who spoke to the Gang of Eight about the strikes, all but one, we are told, who was unable to be reached at the time. But Congress was not briefed. President Trump, in his own words, said he is pursuing war and regime change without congressional approval and without clearly showing there is an imminent threat to the U.S., though certainly military and diplomatic personnel in the region are now on high alert. But what is your immediate reaction to this assault? And will Congress assert its authority?
Congress doesn't need to be contacted? Yeah, they do. That's part of the Constitution. That's the War Powers Act, dude. Like, if you're going to live in America and you're going to be very, very confident in trying to be on the internet as a commenter, learn something, just a little bit.
Decide whether to take our nation to war.
My immediate reaction, Alex, is this is illegal, it's unconstitutional, and no matter what kind of threat the Iranian regime is, I don't like the Iranian regime, it's something that you have to come to Congress.
I was afraid this would all go
the American people to authorize. It seems like
just remember, just because the Ayatollah is gone, this doesn't change shit.
The only permission he sought was Benjamin Netanyahu.
Right now, the military powers are still up and running. The president is still alive.
He certainly didn't consult Congress, and that is his constitutional duty to do that. It also feels a lot like Iraq 2.0. If you think about the two foundational mistakes that Bush made going into Iraq, one was that the whole war was based on a lie about nuclear weapons, and number two, there was no plan for the day after. Well, that seems to be playing out right here because we obviously were lied to by the administration when Hegseth and Trump said that they obliterated Iran's nuclear weapons. That's pretty obviously the case.
Thank you. That's what I was saying at the very beginning of the show, where I was just like, why did he have to reiterate that they can't have nukes? And he was worried that they would, but we also simultaneously got rid of all their ability to do so.
Since just months later,
it's almost like it contradicts himself.
Now we're attacking those same facilities, apparently. Yeah. And there's clearly no plan for the day after. The administration can't even clearly decide what they're after. Are they after the oil? Are they after the nuclear weapons? Are they after regime change? I don't think that there are many American parents who would say that their kids are worth losing their lives for Iranian oil.
In his address,
you haven't met a MAGA.
Overnight, Trump acknowledged there could be U.S. casualties, saying, quote, American heroes may be lost. That often happens in war. Iran retaliated with strikes on Israel and several neighboring nations with U.S. military bases. How concerned are you, sir, about risks for U.S. service members and about the possibility of boots on the ground in Iran?
There are tens of thousands of American troops in the Middle East and an untold number of civilians. And there are tens of thousands of Iranian missiles pointed at those troops and those civilians. And Iran's regime right now would want nothing more than to kill a bunch of Americans in response to these attacks. Now, it may not be the president's plan to put troops on the ground, but it's pretty hard to imagine.
I'll just say that that was a major oversight on our part for not pressuring Congress to get rid of the Article 2.
What kind of regime change he's going to get.
You would think after, you know, the atrocity that was fucking Iraq and Afghanistan, we would have done something different.
He has no control over that situation on the ground. And I think the biggest concern I have is that we lose some pilots. Some pilots get shot down. They bail out over Iran. Iran has a long history of dealing with American hostages. We do not want to be in that position again. And if we have to put troops on the ground to rescue downed American pilots, it could be a recipe for a lot more trouble.
Yeah, that would certainly put special forces in harm's way potentially. But
or
let's
Marines.
Talk about Trump.
But, you know, I had that mission, actually, Alex. My platoon was the...
Nah, because the way that this works is they do a few secret missions that we don't find out about for at least a year, but with Trump, it'll probably be a day.
Was the trap platoon,
like,
the
let's be
tactical
real.
recovery of aircraft and personnel.
And then we just kind of get used to it.
Platoon during Iraq. We got launched
and
in
then,
response
you
to...
know, a attack happens on a base or something, and then we just say, you know what, we can't leave.
With C-130.
They hit us. We can't go anywhere.
Shot down. And you know, when you're out there on the ground just trying to recover a plane or pilots or whatever, it's a very precarious position. And it would be very easy for ground troops to assault and to start a ground war, whether you want one or not.
Trump has implored Iranians
Don't need WikiLeaks with Trump in office. Nope, he'll oopsie.
to overthrow their government after the U.S. assaults.
I got a big mouth. You know, that's the one thing that my administration and some of my aides said they wish I didn't have. But you know what? I just, verbal diarrhea. It's the one thing that you can always count on with Donald Trump.
Saying, quote, it will be yours to take. This probably will be your only chance for generations. So those remarks don't suggest the administration has a detailed plan for what comes next for Iran. Why is Trump pursuing regime change? Vaughn here in the studio has discussed it. You've put out hypotheses, but also, is there a roadmap? Does it even exist for Iranians to do that? Is it possible a more extreme government could replace the current one?
It's actually the last question you raise, Alex, that concerns me the most. That we might get regime change, but it could be an even worse regime. And the ingredients for getting a worse regime would be to empower the hardliners in Iran. Well, I'll tell you what, the best way I know to empower hardliners is to attack the country, to prove them right, that America's the evil enemy. You know, it's amazing how much public support there is for America over the years in Iran. Among the Iranian people, a lot of them really like America. So you want to find a way to turn them against America? We'll start dropping a bunch of American bombs on their schools, on their capital city, on their downtowns. And that's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, even with the Ayatollah being gone, they're going to then turn their ire to, you know, the lives lost to have that happen.
So it doesn't seem like the administration has thought this through at all. I'm all for a regime change in Iran. I just don't think it's a good idea for American troops to make it happen.
So Trump's stated goals of this assault, eliminating Iran's nuclear program and missile infrastructure, taking out the supreme leader to effect regime change, it all points to the U.S. entering a protracted war. Military action in the region almost never ends well for the U.S. What are your concerns?
No, it's almost like we've done this before.
If this spirals into a prolonged regional conflict, and how long could it take to accomplish everything that Trump wants? And by the way, can it be done from the air and without troops on the ground?
I mean, I'm biased as an infantry officer, but no, I don't think you can do all these things from the air. And it seems pretty obvious that we didn't obliterate Iran's nuclear program from the air. We certainly learned in Iraq that it was a long, hard slog to get any sort of regime change.
We had this exact same fucking problem
at all, and that had to happen on the ground. And at the end of the day, the one thing the president has said that he wants is a diplomatic deal to prevent Iran from having a nuclear weapon. Well, he had that.
Weird watching the U.S. cucking themselves to Israel. Yeah.
At Alex, he had it.
It's almost like this is what we've been saying this for a while.
Tore it up in his first term. And not only did he tore up the agreement, the very agreement that he says he wants today, but as a result of that, we lost our eyes and ears on the ground in Iran because we used to have international inspectors going in on a regular basis to keep track of their nuclear program. We even had cameras monitoring their nuclear facilities. Well, all that is gone because Trump tore up the Iran nuclear deal. And so we're in a much worse position to actually keep tabs on what they're...
I'm a Democrat. I voted for Harris because my party commanded me to. Am I still supposed to hate Israel?
Doing to actually understand.
How can you not hate what Israel has done to just the Palestinian people, and then the way that they're just ham-fistedly fucking acting with impunity, saying we're going to do whatever the fuck we want and we're going to leverage whoever the fuck we want.
Understand the status of their program to actually be able to
intervene
if they start.
It's insane that a landmass that doesn't even equal New Jersey is somehow, you know, wagging the dog as far as Trump. Like, dude, Netanyahu is fucking literally just that meme that's going around. I'm sure you guys have all seen the AI fucking Netanyahu behind Trump, just while Trump's at a podium, just taking it.
Deal that we had.
Well, it ain't far off.
So all of this is a problem of Trump's own making. And the first American troops to die in this conflict, all to do something that he undid himself.
Man, fuck Iran. What is my tax money going to? Well, apparently now Iran.
Why are we risking our lives for this commander-in-chief?
Massachusetts Congressman Seth Moulton, our friend, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you.
Well, you'd hope that other people that, you know, love the guy would start joining the military.
The president gave his
instead of just being keyboard warriors.
For the strikes this morning, but he had a warning for the public. Let's watch this together.
My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region.
Fairmont Palm Hotel in downtown Dubai in United Arab Emirates. This is it on fire after that very fancy hotel appears to have been hit by either a drone or by debris from an interception of a drone or missile today. That's just one of several strikes or interceptions across the whole region as Iran has started retaliating against what it sees as U.S. targets or Israeli targets or U.S.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
They intend to...
Hold on, guys. This is... All right, let's finish this, and then I have an update.
In the region.
Oh,
Joining
fuck.
us now is Ali Vaez. He's the Iran Project Director and Senior Advisor to the President at the International Crisis Group. Mr. Vaez, thank you very much for being with us. I appreciate your time.
It's great to see you,
Oh, man. Oh, no.
We've been trying as best we can.
Yeah, it looks like Saudi Arabia did get hit.
To keep track
boy.
of not just the damage inside Iran as U.S. and Israeli strikes there continue, but also the way that Iran has tried to retaliate across the region. What should we understand about Iran's military capability to inflict damage in other countries?
Look, for sure, Iran is significantly weaker than the United States and Israel in terms of conventional military capabilities. It can only engage in an asymmetric kind of warfare. It can
Israel has the e-files.
The pain. It can.
Oh, you mean the ones that are unredacted?
Try to affect the global energy prices by closing the Strait of Hormuz, by putting pressure on energy exports out of the region. It can spread the pain by targeting the Gulf countries, as it has already done, in the hope that they would then in turn put pressure on President Trump to back off and basically signal that if they don't have security, nobody else in the region has security. And they can target Israel and U.S. bases in the region as they have already done. But all of this, one has to remember, a huge part of Iranian strategy is not to win necessarily, Rachel. It is to survive. And so for them, this is a game of endurance.
In terms of the survival of what we, I think, sort of blithely call the regime here, we've all seen those dramatic images of the compound of Iran's supreme leader, which was apparently targeted and hit badly in the initial strikes of this attack. The survival of the regime, the survival of the supreme leader himself, the survival of the rest of the government, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. What should we understand in terms of what toppling the Iranian regime, if that's the aim here, might look like, and who would be most?
It's my opinion on the subject of war. America has ruined the entire concept by not actually declaring a war since post-World War II.
Carry on there in terms of continuity of
there's that.
Government and continuity.
But just in general, it's always the same shit. The rich and the elite fucking want to spend our money on and justify a whole bunch of fucking investments into the military industrial complex. So eventually they're going to press us into going into some kind of conflict so they can use their toys. They don't want them getting dusty.
Of control.
But also to use those toys, we have to sacrifice, American lives, which, I lived through this shit. I lost friends to the Iraq war. And I can't get behind the idea that they died for nothing, and it sucks. Like I tried to justify and be like, no, they were, it was very honorable, because it was honorable what they were doing and what they thought they were doing. But realistically, no, they were cannon fodder for a bunch of fucking elites that they never cared about them in the slightest. No, they really did.
Several points. One is that this is a deeply entrenched regime, just like in the case of Venezuela.
My buddy's mom has said that radicalized her and her politics, because she was just like, no, I saw how my son was brainwashed post 9/11 into thinking that was what he needed to do.
And there, the Trump administration decided to decapitate the regime, but work with the rest of the structure. This is also a very deeply benched regime. In the 12-day war last year, Israel managed to eliminate a few dozen senior Iranian commanders in the opening hours of that conflict. And yet
they died for their brothers.
Most of those commanders were quickly replaced, and Iran,
unfortunately, not really
managed to.
In his case, he didn't, because it was on his first deployment, very, very early into it.
Get back on his feet.
He got killed by a roadside bomb
and start punching back. In order to get the kind of regime change that
it wasn't like he jumped. No. And I hate when people need to fucking try to retell it for me to fucking try and go, no, he was a hero. You know what? Yeah. Like this freaking image of him draped in an American flag with a freaking bald eagle behind him.
President Trump wants, so that the Iranian people can come to the streets and finish the job from below. You would have to completely dismantle the repressive capacities of this regime. And there we're talking about 200,000
Eisenhower warned us.
Strong Revolutionary Guards, which has 1 million strong militia, in addition to hundreds of thousands of security forces and police. And remember, Rachel, that the regime committed a bloody massacre last month against Iranian protesters, not like in the case of Syria using fighter jets and tanks and barrel bombs and chemical weapons, but with small arms. So to destroy all of that force and the limited capacities that they have to contain and repress a population that is unarmed, unorganized, and fragmented requires weeks and weeks, if not months, of military engagement, which would have an enormous civilian cost for Iran and disastrous regional implications.
Inviting the Iranian people to rise up and do it now without having done anything to suppress what you described as that repressive capacity against its own people.
Oh, right. And again, like the fucking military is not like they have Trump is convinced that the military is going to take him up on the immunity thing instead of looking at the fact that now they have the opportunity to take over their, like he's saying, take over your country. Who? Just fucking, Johnny boy, Iranian? Like he's just going to rise up and just be like, hey, me and my buddies, we formed a council. We're now the new government. Fuck. They really do count on your stupidity.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
The Majority Report.
Every gun that is made, every warship launched, every rocket fired signifies, in the final sense, a theft from those who hunger and are not fed, those who are cold and are not clothed.
This guy was a general war hero. And somehow people listen to this and they're just like,
the world in arms is not spending money alone. It is spending the sweat of its laborers, the genius of its scientists, the hopes of its children. The cost of one modern heavy bomber is this: a modern brick school in more than 30 cities. It is 2 electric power plants, each serving a town of 60,000 population. It is 2 fine, fully equipped hospitals. It is some 50 miles of concrete. We pay for a single fighter plane with 500,000 bushels of wheat. We pay for
Yeah, but this guy's proof that it's like, that doesn't become, like, your time in the military doesn't become your fucking policies. Meanwhile, like, everybody post Eisenhower has taken the opposite of what he said.
Destroyer with new homes that could have housed more than 8,000 people.
All right, a bit too much music there for my taste. Gotta be a little bit careful there. Uh-oh. Something happened? Oh, shit. Yo, they got police drones? That's fucking wild. They got some shit straight out of RoboCop. All right, here we go.
at this site, at least 20 others wounded. Martha?
So there was just a drone alert in southern Israel, the southernmost city of Eilat. I'll try.
All right, hold on. We got some more stuff here.
Show that they have resisted a military onslaught from two of the world's most extraordinary militaries, ours and the Israelis. I think that's what the calculation now is. Regime preservation. Could you get a more pragmatic figure presiding over this regime? Sure.
Aaron, I just want to break in for a moment because we're looking at live pictures in the air over Tel Aviv, and obviously, as many people know or maybe don't know, there is an Iron Dome that Israel uses as its missile defense system, and we're seeing it working now. But in some places, an incident by for me, I would appreciate it because I do want to bring in NBC News military analyst Colonel Steve Warren to talk more about the images that we're seeing in Israel right now. Colonel, if you would, walk us through kind of how this Iron Dome works for Israel and the times in which it doesn't, because I think that is what we're seeing on our screens right now.
That's right. The Israeli air defense system really has three layers. The one we hear most about is called the Iron Dome. That's their most close-in layer. I've seen it in action. It's often used for sort of the least sophisticated missiles that come in from Hezbollah or even Hamas. The next two layers are David's Sling and the Arrow system, and these are increasingly more sophisticated systems that can shoot down increasingly sophisticated missiles that come in. So we're not sure what was used on this inbound missile, but it certainly appears that this one came through. In the military, when we're talking about air defense, we often talk.
Yeah, that
we use
that was the same one we watched happen live, but that was
a phrase called leakers. In other words, something leaked through our defense.
I didn't realize
system.
It hit like that.
And that
I thought it was because the way that we saw it, it looked like it got hit, and then part of it went down.
That's what this appears.
That looks like that was a direct strike.
To be impossible to know for sure until we see what actually happened on the ground. But the speed, trajectory, and impact of this that we're seeing on TV now appears to be what we would classify as a leaker. So something that just got through either.
Yeah, and this is the aftermath
that the Israelis
of that.
Fired to try to knock down this inbound missile, just missed. It could be that the Iranians fired
That's what I thought.
multiple
Yeah.
missiles in.
Yeah,
and the
shit.
Israelis weren't able to fire enough back to eliminate them all. Many possible things that can lead to a leaker.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.
We're following all the angles of this story. I want to bring in CBS News contributor and retired Army Lieutenant General.
I've literally hit the gamut of news coverage. I have hit left wing, right wing, center, all of it.
H.R. McMaster, who
call me ground news in this bitch.
you might remember, served as one of the national security advisors to President Trump during his first administration.
I do use ground news, by the
HR,
way.
it's always good to see you. I appreciate your perspective as always. Right. Break down what this is and what it may lead toward.
Hey, Major, it's great to be with you. I think what's really important is to understand the context. Really, you could say that the Islamic Republic of Iran has been fighting a proxy war against the United States for the past 47 years of its existence. And what you really saw until the Trump 1 administration was every U.S. president made an attempt at conciliation, bring Iran in from the cold. Maybe if they integrate economically, the Ayatollah's heart will grow 2 sizes bigger, and they'll stop their aggression against, the great Satan, the United States is how they call us, and the cancerous.
You've been awake since 12 last night. I appreciate the coverage. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Israel.
Sorry.
And their Arab neighbors. And I think what you've seen
too much of a stoner sometimes.
Trump won when he made the decision to kill Qasem Soleimani, who was in the midst of organizing attacks against U.S. facilities in the region. This is in January of 2020. And with the U.S. joining the Israelis in the 12-day campaign with Operation Midnight Hammer against their nuclear
Yeah, honestly, I'd probably be covering this like all night last night, but I did have a
forces.
I got off stream and I ended up taking my Eddies.
Is that President
to go
Trump
to bed,
was determined to kind of
yeah,
break that cycle,
they hit hard,
recognizing that if we continue on this path,
Oh yeah, double tap the screen to like the stream and subscribe to the channel if you guys are enjoying the content. Thank you.
kind of the definition of insanity that attributed to Albert
for being
Einstein, doing the
cool.
same thing, expecting a different result. And I think, the Iranians, hey, they drove past every off-ramp here, Major, and President Trump, really wanted to, he prefers a deal in all these cases. Even in the strikes for Midnight Hammer, he'd given them 60 days. And so I think he recognized the intransigence of this regime, the degree to which this ideology, of hatred and violence drives and constrains those Iranian leaders. And what you've seen in recent years, but especially last month and up to today, is how big that gap is between the theocratic dictatorship and the Iranian people. We got to remember, right? I mean, they murdered over 30,000 people in a 48-hour period, Major. So I think all of this has come together. The regime's economic crisis that they brought on themselves, the environmental crisis. I mean, Tehran's about to run out of water, Major. Then you have, the mass unrest and protests, the mass murder, the mass atrocity against the Iranian people, and now this external military pressure and financial pressure. So I think, these are the end days of the regime. It's kind of unclear how it's going to end, but I think President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu have made clear that's kind of what is really the only outcome that can break this cycle of violence that's been going on for 47 years and help bring peace to the Iranian people and to the region.
HR, I'm going to talk to our Executive Director of Elections and Surveys, Anthony Salvanto, in a moment, but I'm going to pluck some of the data that he has and put this question to you. I'm an average American, and I say, H.R. McMaster, I just heard everything you described. It all sounds very reasonable to me. But why now? Meaning, why this?
Like, fuck, we have someone over there that wants nothing to do with this. Don't loop all Jewish people into this.
Instant. And was I personally, in America, under more...
I am by no means Zionist, but I will not tolerate fucking racism in my chat.
...jeopardy today than I was 3 years ago from the Iranian regime.
No, but I think if there had been inaction, Major, that danger was being rebuilt. That threat to the United States was being rebuilt. And this is an aspect of the timing of the strike that has been underreported. First of all, as I mentioned, hey, how do you not answer the mass atrocity, right, that occurred? 30 to maybe 40,000 people murdered on this, gunned down, by the Basij and the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps. But since Operation Midnight Hammer, months ago, what the Iranians have been doing is rebuilding their nuclear program and racing to rebuild their missile arsenal. They've been
it's almost like it had the opposite effect.
Flying in capabilities from China.
And again, we are ignoring the fact that Iran has allies, dude.
They really needed a lot.
We are pretending that there's just like, you know what? Nothing bad could come from this. Russia's not going to give a shit. China's not going to give a shit, right?
Where like chemicals,
you just say 30,000 protesters,
because these solid fuel missiles are a much greater threat because they can be just launched on demand. The liquid fuel, they have to be kind of they have to be fueled, and then you can see that from the air and maybe strike them. So
I heard Tim Pool was an idiot today. Oh no! Oh, I hate being the biggest fan, the biggest idiot on the internet. Well, at least I got this idiot.
They were racing to rebuild their solid fuel missile capabilities. They're racing to build a lot of their other long-range capabilities. They had entered in to discussions to get supersonic shore-to-ship missiles from the Chinese, for example, and the Russians.
Yeah, China already said they have Iran's back. Yeah,
sending them attack helicopters and armored personnel.
Again, nobody's talking about that.
You know what that's for?
You know what else China has? Our debt.
That's to commit
a lot of our bonds.
The next round of mass murder against their own people.
If the Strait of Hormuz does remain closed, they also have another shipping lane that we can't access.
So it is not as if the Iranian regime had become docile.
How do you spell cook?
And was no longer going to be a threat. They're trying to reconstitute Hezbollah and trying to get some support into Hamas and Palestinian Islamic
I wouldn't be
Jihad.
surprised if China goes after Taiwan soon.
They're still the main line of support for the Houthis, who, remember, really disrupted shipping in the Bab el-Mandeb and into the Suez Canal.
I hate that our media is doing everything they can to justify this. Literally every single channel I have watched, including MSNBC, has been doing the same shit.
Disrupted the world economy. And so, hey,
we're going to look back at this and they're just going to be like, oh, I wish I didn't, take part in manufacturing consent for this, for this war because, it was a different time. Like, I heard so much of that post fucking,
they had made clear with their actions.
Well, just during the Afghanistan and Iraq war.
What they did to their own people, what they were doing in the region, that they remained a threat, Major. And this was a window of opportunity to act. And do
you think they will retaliate?
President Trump he gave him a shot. He gave him a shot at an offering,
H.R. McMaster, I want to share with you.
No, they're not.
Video.
No, they're not owned by Trump. They're owned by Ellison, who he's a billionaire, but yeah, no, stop with that shit. Just because they are in the pocket of the administration doesn't actually mean they're owned by Trump. And also, CNN has not even been bought yet, okay? They have to go through all these fucking hurdles. They're not going to start shifting the programming right now because there is no guarantee that this is actually going to clear the regulatory hurdles because somebody's bringing up an antitrust suit against them. Which, you know what? About fucking time.
Central Command has just released of missile strikes in Iran. Let's play.
Do I think it's going to have make an impact? No, I do think that they're going to end up getting through it and the administration's going to push it through, but it's going to take a few months.
That, and can you see that, HR, as I'm seeing it and as our audience is seeing it?
I can, yes.
Okay.
War porn.
This is.
God damn it. This is literally, this is Iraq 2.0. This is, dude, seriously, I got
as I just mentioned,
holy
released
fuck.
Just now.
Oh, got the jets. Got to show the jets.
Various U.S. military personnel. Shipboard missiles. Obviously, aircraft flying off the decks of aircraft carriers in the region and other kinetic strikes. HR, anything you are seeing that you want to add context or information about?
Well, I think what's really important here is the degree to which U.S. forces, and now combined with Israeli forces, have the capability to achieve such a high degree of simultaneity of strikes across multiple target arrays. So we've been discussing it here. You've been discussing it here on CBS for the last hour. So that those involve some of the regime targets, which we're trying to assess. What the damage was there to essentially decapitate the regime. Go after the arms of repression to create more space for the people, the Iranian people, to determine their own fate. But then what you saw and what I think was anticipated were strikes against anything that the Iranians could use to retaliate against us. So these are the strikes against the missile launchers, those solid fuel missiles, those liquid fuel missiles, the missile launchers themselves, obviously. I think there was a very sophisticated operation that came from multiple domains, land, sea, air, against those launchers. And then you had other targets like the Islamic Revolutionary.
I can't do this. I just got up and I'm going to take a hit.
Or Navy, because that could be used, maybe to lay mines in the Straits of Hormuz.
I mean, unfortunately, this is the reality we live in.
So anything, any kind of arrow, that the Iranians have in their quiver,
Gotta go to bed. Johnny boy, thanks for hanging.
Those first strikes went after those. And I don't think there's not any other force on the planet that could do this. It shows a very high degree of professionalism in our joint force, in the Israeli Defense Forces.
Again, the idea that we did this, you do understand. Oh my God.
And it also shows the decades of work that have gone on to create an integrated air defense system.
Unclassified.
Within the Gulf, because you saw Iran immediately retaliate against seven countries in the region, of which Israel was only one.
H.R. McMaster, I appreciate the time, sir, as always. Thank you.
Hey, great to be with you, Major.
Our focus this hour is the Middle East, where there are growing fears of a wider war. Iran has retaliated after Israel and the US launched a barrage of airstrikes across Iran. We saw several sites hit in what Donald Trump has described on social media.
Where's my dog? I don't know.
As major combat operations. The Iranians have hit back with force right across the region. Plumes of smoke seen in an area of Bahrain near the headquarters of the US Navy's 5th Fleet. An airbase in Doha also hit, where there was a significant U.S. military presence. And this is a missile captured on camera over Dubai in the UAE. Thousands of people, residents and tourists, have been caught up in the strikes. Let's begin our coverage with our international editor, Jeremy Bowen, on the day's developments.
Dog is behind me.
Israel and the U.S. went back to war with Iran just after breakfast time in Tehran, hitting the capital and sites across the country. It's hard to get information about what's happening there. Video of an attack on a school in southern Iran is circulating. Iranian state TV was reporting 85 killed. This is a dangerous moment with unpredictable consequences.
Again, I appreciate the BBC's coverage on this, because notice how every time that we were getting American coverage, it was kind of doing this weird thing where it was just like, yeah, you know, we did what we went to do, and it's not really a big deal. Nothing bad. Nothing else bad could totally come from this. These lefties are freaking out over war.
World's most turbulent region.
At least that's what I took from it.
Israel said the whole operation is a preemptive attack without producing evidence of an imminent threat. Sirens sounded immediately in Israel. War is political. Successful ones require a precise definition of victory. Donald Trump's was wide-ranging, possibly unachievable, definitely a gamble.
The United States military is...
That's how the rest of the world...
...undertaking a massive...
I love when we have other countries covering our news, because it really is just like, yeah, they think we're so stupid.
...an ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests. We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated.
Iran tried to deliver on its threat of a devastating response aimed at the extensive network of U.S. bases in the Gulf. This was Qatar, as well as Israel.
Go! Get in.
Hey, Mitchell.
In Dubai, tourists looking for winter sun had a nasty reminder of the region's realities. Close by in Bahrain, this appears to be a strike aimed at the big U.S. naval base. Iran says it will use more powerful missiles than the ones it fired in last summer's war. An interceptor rocket went up. Iran will hope that as the day...
now they're saying there might be conflicting reports about Ayatollah.
The U.S. and Israel will start running
I don't know, man.
Of defensive missiles.
Whatever, we'll find out in a little bit. I'm getting a little, like, whiplash here.
Video of its command center and said it had been planning the attacks with the Americans for several months.
Challenging days await us. Every military action involves risk, but the risk of doing nothing is greater. Because if we do not act, we will get a nuclear Iran, an Iran with tens of thousands of ballistic missiles.
In Tehran, a compound used by Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was
just going to have to let all the dust settle.
The Iranians said he wasn't there when it was destroyed.
Are you trying to say that Israel lied? Inconceivable.
Regime supporters rallied around the flag. It would take more than killing the supreme leader to destroy the regime. It has a complex political system underpinned by ideology, corruption, and the ruthless use of force against dissent.
Again, just remember that, like those protesters you saw, it's kind of like how you see this in America, where you guys see us protest, which I always love how MAGA will see leftist protests and they're like, get a job, blah, blah, blah. But then they'll see Iranians protest and just be like, guys, Iranians are protesting. We got to go help them.
In January, big protests against the regime and the economic crisis were crushed with live bullets that killed thousands of people. Donald Trump promised to protect them and seems to believe that the regime will fall if they try again after America and Israel's onslaught.
When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance.
This is where he is so far off.
For a generation.
He is so fucking far off base, but okay, man.
For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond.
At dusk, the Fairmont Hotel on Dubai's Palm was hit. It isn't clear if it was a target or if it was missile debris from an interception. The fire took hold. Iran's leaders will now be calculating how to ride out the war, how to survive, and how to manage its consequences. Jeremy Bowen, BBC News.
Straight to Jerusalem now. Let's join our Middle East correspondent Hugo Pacheco, who is there. Hugo, the air raid sirens have been sounding all day. What's the situation across Israel this evening?
Yeah, Lucy, so about an hour ago, we heard loud explosions.
You called it, Pep, right as you said it.
From the sky, and again, an indication that air defenses had been activated. And this has been the situation throughout the day across Israel with multiple air
Yes, I did.
Sirens and then loud explosions with air defenses intercepting those missiles that have been fired by Iran in response to these attacks by the US and Israel. Now, emergency services said they had received calls
for my wife. Thank you.
3 locations that had been hit. I think the indication here is that those locations were hit by debris that fell from the sky from those interceptions. 1 person has been injured. But again, this is another indication of how sophisticated the air defense systems in Israel are. And I was here in Israel last year during the 12-day war, and it was a war in which the Israeli military managed to intercept the vast majority of the missiles that had been launched by Iran during the conflict, a mission that was celebrated as a success by the Israeli military.
He looks small, but
now,
he's
at
not.
the end of the Jewish
12-pound cat.
Shabbat, the Prime Minister's office released a picture of the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on a phone call with the US President Donald Trump. And I think the message here is to show that this is a coordinated campaign between
who takes the power. It's not going to be the people.
American.
Again, the way that I just described that is realistically how the Trump administration is kind of approaching this, where they're just like, you know what, go out. So those people you just saw protesting, are they the ones that are going to go take over the government? Or is it going to be the same fucking regime because they were the ones who controlled the military? Like, most of the people that know shit about this, like, you know, military commanders and people that have been doing this for a long time, have said that it's going to be a military coup and that not a lot is going to change.
And the Israeli military.
And and according to all sources, the Ayatollah appointed a successor.
And earlier today, there was a...
Oh my God, Stan just farted like something fierce, dude. This little fucker.
Statement by the Prime Minister trying to
oh my God, Stan,
justify military action against Iran. Again, he talked about something that he's been talking about for a very long time, for decades, and that is what he sees as the existential threat posed by Iran's nuclear program. And I thought it was interesting that the Prime Minister, just like President Donald Trump, talked about creating a situation that would allow the Iranian population to essentially change the leadership in the country. So again, the suggestion here being that one of the goals here of the
I'm sure
campaign.
I mean, they kind of knew that this was happening, and the guy was old as shit.
Could be to create a situation.
No, again, Americans have really weird brains when they hear about this Iranian thing, because they don't know dick about Iran as a country at all. They don't know about these conflicts. They just hear Trump speak, and then they're just like, oh, I'm an expert now, just like my president.
In Iran that could lead to a change in the leadership of the country.
And Hugo, what about the attacks on Iran? The army
Stan just broke the Geneva Conventions.
In Israel saying that the air raids on Iran are the largest ever that they've conducted in their history, in Air Force history. What do we know about the scale and the scope of those attacks on Iran?
Yeah, Lucy, so we had a statement by...
Wait, I watched both? You and Mermaid? Who the fuck is Mermaid? And neither of you are willing to have an actual debate. When you get legitimate debate in your chat, you block the chatter. You must be a bot. You must be a bot, because you're on the wrong channel to be making that accusation.
The Israeli military.
I don't ban people for not like being a lefty or any of that bullshit. I only ban people for using slurs in chat, for Fed posting, and just in general. Like if you're spamming, then yeah, I'm gonna ban you. But that's realistically it. I don't ban people for dissension. Have you read my fucking chat?
Saying that 200 fighter jets had targeted more than 500 targets.
Mermaid
across,
is Ari.
Iran,
I've never heard of her.
including missile launchers and also facilities linked to.
Oh, yeah, you're full of shit.
The Iranian military, but we've also seen that a number of buildings related to the Iranian leadership were hit.
Just anything that's essentially calling for any call to violence or anything like that.
Hours of this military campaign again.
That's an instant ban.
A campaign between the Israeli and the American military, which I think is again another indication that perhaps one of the goals here is to create a situation for
smooth bandito,
the regime change, as President Trump put it.
What's up, man?
As he described the leadership in Iran, and I think the timing of it obviously shows that the Israelis and the Americans, despite
MAGA chuds, get ready to get deployed. I won't thank you for your service, but hopefully your family members and deity will.
Those
oh, Jesus Christ.
Negotiations that were happening for
Bloodstone had it.
Deal to try to curb Iran's nuclear program and avert a war with Iran. They saw here an opportunity to strike
oh, shit, I missed my
the country. They see the leadership in Iran in a very weak position, not only because of what happened last year during the 12-day war, in which nuclear facilities, but also military installations, military capabilities in Iran was significantly damaged, but also because of the protests that happened earlier this year, those huge-scale nationwide protests that were brutally repressed by the Iranian authorities. But again, a crisis of legitimacy here inside Iran,
now.
also a huge economic crisis in the country.
There's nothing worse than when you have a cat that's just like, it makes itself comfortable on you and you're just like, I really want to move. But kitty.
That has led to huge discontent. So perhaps the
Shah's son has a 0% chance of taking Iran.
President Trump mentioned in his video earlier today when he...
No, it was really funny because somebody was just like, yeah, I heard that Jared Kushner actually might be installed as a new leader. I was like,
he urged the Iranian public to take over
that point, go for it.
And he described this
and that
as
giant meteor,
a
do your
opportunity in generations for the Iranian population.
Hugo, thanks so much. Well, Iran launching those attacks throughout the Middle East. Let's show you this photo we've received from an eyewitness. And what you can see here is a plume of smoke. This is near the Fairmont, the Palm Hotel in Dubai. Iranian state media reporting as well that an attack has been launched on Dubai. It's not clear exactly what Iran is targeting, but there is a U.S. military presence in the country.
No, I don't.
The UAE Ministry of Defense has said it has intercepted a new wave of missiles and drones as well. That's according to reports from the Emirates news agency, cited as well by Reuters. We do have blurry images of a plume of black smoke seen in Dubai. And we have these pictures of strikes as well that we've been getting. They have been shared with us from a British tourist, Luke Leslie, who is in Dubai at the moment. Let's take you to my colleague Barbara Pledasher, who joins us now from Doha in Qatar. Barbara, how have Gulf states been targeted today?
Again, America is like American media, not focusing on this.
They have been getting hit by missiles since shortly after the Israeli and U.S. airstrikes began. And by and large, the Gulf countries have said that they've intercepted the missiles, shot most of them down, but some of the very striking exceptions you've already mentioned there, the Fairmont Hotel being one of them. The image of that hotel, that luxury hotel in that sort of very high-end neighborhood in the archipelago there that has many luxury hotels burning, I think is quite jarring and shocking to many people. You also have a residential building in Bahrain that has been hit, apparently by a drone. Also, the international airport in Kuwait, again struck by a drone. The authorities there said not much damage, a few injuries, but it is quite an event to have.
Got a good diesel strain right now.
Your airport hit by a missile or a drone, given the significance of air safety. So you've got the Gulf countries having prepared or having been warned ahead of time by the Iranians that they would strike U.S. military bases that are scattered throughout the region. There's 13 of them. One of the reasons why they have been firing missiles here to Qatar and also UAE and Bahrain, the Navy base there, and Kuwait. But it seems that there are other areas, civilian areas, that are being hit either because of shrapnel from missiles being struck down, or you've got these drones, reports of drone attacks. So it is a very unstable time for the Gulf, even though they have been expecting something like this for some time.
Barbara, just while we're talking, we do have some live pictures coming to us from Iraq. Earlier, we did see Baghdad, the government there, denouncing these strikes on Iran, warning against involving Iraq in any way. And now,
dude, the entire region is on red alert now.
What we can see here, it's hard to tell how big these protests are.
Oh my God, man! What we had 4 years, three and a half. No, we had 4 years. Yeah, because this last year. No, so four clean years.
We've got people in Iraq and Baghdad.
I mean, again, we still have a base there, but we're not in a hot conflict in Iraq right now.
Denouncing the strikes and protesting in solidarity with Iran. But where you are, the Gulf states have worked so hard to prevent this exact thing from happening today. So what kind of position are they in now? They're condemning the attacks, but how do you think they're now going to respond?
Well, it's not clear, really. You're right. They have, the Qataris, the UAE have condemned the attacks very strongly. They have said that this violates international law and national sovereignty, that they reserve the right to respond. But their main concern here, which has been expressed in different ways in the weeks and months actually leading up to this point, is that they're worried about instability in the region, that the war in Iran will come cross the borders in various ways, that the Iranians might end up directly.
So what exactly did we obliterate last year? Nothing.
Targeting the oil and gas infrastructure that's so crucial for the economy of this area, that if, as President Trump has said, there should be an uprising, or the people of Iran should take it into their own hands to take over the government. What does that actually mean?
Thank you. Holy shit, dude.
Various scenarios there. But the concern, I think,
I'm so glad that the BBC is at least being serious about this, like not just being like, well, that's an interesting question there, Cheryl. And you know what? I think that Donald Trump, he's just going to figure it out, and we just got to trust in him.
Because, again, about instability, whether there might be infighting.
Is that a Lego Darth Maul? Yes, it is.
War, refugees.
Built by my wife.
Weapons flowing across borders. They've seen that sort of
That was one of my Christmas presents.
Scenario in Iraq and Syria. So they have been very concerned, working very, very hard.
That was cool,
to try
by
to
the way.
prevent this.
It's also really cool because technically you can make it into Darth Vader as well.
Trying to mediate between the Iranians and the Americans at a very top level, leadership and government ministers making these phone calls, making these trips.
Eric Turner, yeah, they made that. They literally made that point in this
the
piece.
United States was decided not.
Where they were, or it was the last one, but yeah, they had made the same equivalency where it was just like, okay, so you think that the Iranians are going to support the U.S., which they do, like there was some support happening there, but when you, I don't know, accidentally, quote unquote, hit a school, yeah, that might change some fucking sentiment.
To take their advice, he took the advice of his Israeli allies.
Said my wife like
Borat. They will respond
yeah, I know.
Now.
My wife.
They will. They've said they have they reserve the right to respond. I think they will calculate that very carefully. They will be wanting to manage the fallout, and I imagine that they will be wanting to try to get back on a diplomatic
that's Lego, yeah,
track as soon as possible. But
it's Lego pointillism.
The United States and Israel haven't really left them much wiggle room there at all, given that they've announced that The goal of this is
Keg's breath hasn't really thought all this through.
Thanks so much, Barbara Pledasher there in Doha. We are waiting to hear again from President Trump. He did release
That's
the
a new
statement
one to
on
me. I
Truth
like
Social
it.
this morning, the 8 or 9 minute video that he had. But all eyes now on Mar-a-Lago. He's not in Washington, of course. He's down at his residence in Florida.
Him and Kavanaugh, the beer bros.
Watching events for us from the US is my colleague Katrina Perry. Let's take you over to the White House. She is there for us. Katrina, we've been keeping an eye on Mar-a-Lago. We'll certainly go there if we hear from Donald.
You know what? If CNN does get bought, yeah.
Trump, is there an
BBC's just my go-to at this point.
expectation that he will talk to the media soon?
Oh my God. American media's cooked.
We don't have an expectation at this point of any formal remarks,
Oh,
but as we know
excuse
with
me.
this president and this White House, that could change at any time. Having said that, he has been speaking to a journalist via phone. In the last hour or so, he was speaking to John Levine from the Washington Free Beacon, who asked him about the ongoing campaign in Iran. We know, of course, President Trump has referred to this as a multi-day campaign. And so the president told John Levine that it's going very well. That's all he would say. He wouldn't answer any more of the journalists' follow-up questions on anything to do with detail or anything like that, just to say going very well. So who knows, perhaps we'll have some more phone calls with President Trump throughout the day. We are learning some more information, though, about just what happened in the early hours of the morning, as it was here in the US when these strikes began. We're told that Vice President J.D. Vance, he was here at the White House in the Situation Room, along with the Energy Secretary Chris Wright and the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. They were both here, as was Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, all here in the Situation Room, connected via secure link to Mar-a-Lago, to the facility that the president has there. And that
He's ISDNing a fucking international conflict? What the fuck? What the fuck? Could you imagine if Biden did that shit? Yeah, Jack, I gotta get my golf game on.
that is when all of
Yeah, you know what? So we went to war. All right. And then I said, hey, can somebody get this on a mobile? And they said, yeah. So I said, okay. And then when I was on the mobile, of course, the Republicans were all mad about it. I don't know. It's almost as bad as the auto pen.
these strikes, and it began, and
let me tell you something.
He gave the green light for that. We know that the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has been in touch with some of the leadership on Capitol Hill. He's been briefing what's known as the Group of Eight. The Group of eight individuals who are
Not the best Biden impression, gotta say. The Trump impression, 10 out of 10. Biden impression, I'll give it maybe a 2.
very senior on Capitol Hill. The Republican
Speaking of 2, I took a number 2. I just dropped it right in my pants.
and Democratic leaders
Trump and Dumpy.
in the Senate, in the House,
Come here, Pammy. I got something for you.
and the Republican chairperson and the Democratic deputy chairperson, essentially, of the Intelligence Committee. They were receiving briefings actually all week, it turns out, as to what was
Fine.
going on, and they were
My
notified
watch is just
in
like,
advance
stand up.
that these strikes
All right.
were going to take place. Now, the Democrats are, more broadly speaking, very angry that they don't have more information on this. They feel that the president acted beyond his powers in not going to Congress
There.
before
You
this
happy?
and seeking a war declaration. So they are having an emergency caucus meeting tomorrow. That will be Sunday night. And we're told that members of the
What about the Epstein list? Any arrests? No.
administration will brief them. There is much political debate about
I've been hearing that Trump has been floating about appointing Marco Rubio to the Supreme Court. Yeah, I saw that too.
whether the president acted within or outside of the powers afforded to him under the Constitution in launching this preemptive strike, is the word being used by Israel and by the US on Iran. The president himself did use the word war during those remarks in that 8-minute video that he posted overnight here in the US, and that's what's really causing a lot of the problems with this.
The thing is, if he does do that, that tells me that he's not confident in his ability to lock down the election.
Whether he acted within
Because here's how we'll measure this. If he does that, right before the election, that means that, yeah,
international
it's Jover, man. You want to talk about lame duck shit?
law when
Yeah,
he's using
then
that
it's-
word war.
Too big to rig shit.
By law in this country, he needs a declaration of war from Congress. Now, as it turns out, there was a bill to be voted on this week, War Powers Resolution Act, to exactly do this.
No, he's not even he was a shitty lawyer for a hot minute.
To stop the president from taking unilateral action in Iran without permission, essentially, from Congress. Now,
but remember, that would also have to go through Congress and the Senate. No, both.
House will sit on Capitol Hill on Tuesday and Wednesday. As of now, that bill is still slated to be voted on. Whether it will pass or fail, we don't know at this point in time. We're hearing from Democrats and Republicans, many of them in support broadly of launching an attack on Iran, as they were last June with Operation Midnight Hammer. They do see Iran as a threat to this country, particularly in terms of its nuclear capabilities. But an issue many of the politicians have is how the president went about this, what his legal standing in international law was for taking this action. And as we know, he's referred to it as a multi-day operation, so very much still underway.
And Katrina, with Americans waking up to this news this morning, how convinced do you think they'll be?
I went to bed with this news.
By President Trump's argument for this war, why he says he is conducting this action?
Well, I expect we'll see a lot of polling on that in the coming days, and the polling that we've seen in the last few weeks, as this has been very much on the radar, of course, for well over a month at this point, is that the nation is broadly split on this. They feel very strongly when it comes to deploying the US military, the men and women of the military, to other parts of the world and putting them in danger. It is something that this administration swore not to do on the campaign trail in President Trump's inaugural address, and indeed we hear that many times from many members of the administration, not least the Defence Secretary or War Secretary Pete Hegseth. So a lot of questions as to how dangerous a situation this is for the members of the US military.
All right, the UN is doing their thing where they're saying that Khomeini's dead. So
again, going back to that video that the president posted,
can we just get a simple confirmation?
Did reference in great detail.
I am dead serious about this. I have nothing at stake in this guy being alive or gone. I will say that much.
Threat to American lives, to the.
But this idea that this is somehow like a big W for Trump and that this is going to be over by the end of the day, I hope you understand how wrong you are.
Members of the military who are carrying out this strike.
This is
and he said,
so fucked up.
Lives could be lost. Sometimes this happens in war.
Yeah.
He said.
He is making sure that we are ready for that.
So that is what's giving a lot of pause for thought to the American people. And also how strongly he made out that case that he's acting in the interests of American national security. We were expecting to hear a lot from him about that in the State of the Union address that he delivered before the joint
Welcome to stream.
Congress.
By the way, guys, if this is your first time here, hit the like button and sub to the channel if you're enjoying the content. It really helps me out.
Had a massive live television audience in this country.
I usually do more conversation, but this has been an intense day.
To make the case to the nation. He didn't do that. He just very briefly mentioned Iran and moved on.
He's proven that people he appoints don't need to be qualified.
Is when he's chosen to do that.
Look at Pam Bondi. The Dow is at 50,000.
And he's gone back over 47.
And I don't see you giving him credit for that.
Years of interactions between
Iran
and the US trying to make that case. Now, how strongly he made it, the jury is still out on that one. And as you say,
billionaires care about MAGA?
Still, I mean...
No, they don't give a shit about MAGA. They give a shit about taking your money.
It's just 1:20 here.
That...
Here on the East
I could
Coast,
see is
even
confusing.
Earlier, across the various time zones in the US.
Want to be Destiny?
People are waking up to...
Wants to be Destiny.
This news.
Destiny doesn't even want to be Destiny.
On Saturday morning. And news that it isn't just a set of limited strikes, as we saw in June with Operation Midnight Hammer, but that it's a multi-day operation with risk to the American military.
Live from Tel Aviv, I'm Clive Myrie on the day that Israel and America attacked Iran. Strikes in Tehran and right across the country. The Iranian Red Crescent says more than 200 people are dead, with more blasts reported this evening.
Jesus. What the fuck? Jesus. Oh my god, dude, this really is just like it takes you right back to like I know I've said this a lot, but like 2003,
Iranians hit
fucking
back,
CNN coverage, Operation Iraqi Freedom,
retaliating with a series of strikes across the region, also hitting Bahrain.
Why are there so many bots in this chat? I don't know.
Thousands are now caught.
I have no control over that. This is the shorts feed, and I've been talking to other creators about it. They think that it's just YouTube shorts.
Up in the violence, including tourists across the Middle East. This
I appreciate you watching the vertical stream and having a
was
good
a
time.
scene in Dubai a little earlier.
Some of y'all have been here
after
for a
an
minute.
Iranian strike
Really appreciate
on the
that.
Palm Hotel. And these are live pictures from here in Tel Aviv, where a state of emergency has been declared across Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says there are signs the
What is with the fucking music?
who joins us now in Jerusalem.
I have a feeling I'm going to have to get rid of that because I just actually... wow, I haven't had one of those in a minute.
Hugo, first
it's got a little warning about that.
of all, we know that this is what the Israelis are saying when it comes to the supreme leader. Are you hearing any more on that?
Yeah, Clive. So minutes ago, we had a statement from the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who went on television to say that the plan to destroy Israel is gone, and that there are growing signs that the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is also gone. And after
how? Like, it wasn't just one guy's ideology. How?
This statement,
what is he, fucking Goku?
We've seen multiple reports in Israeli media quoting an Israeli official as saying that the supreme leader of...
That doesn't happen unless you have, support.
Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is dead. Now,
hardly surprising after the poor girls' school was blown up earlier by U.S. Israeli bombs earlier.
Don't have...
Kelly Pepper.
The confirmation of that, official confirmation.
Hello, Kelly. I like your last name.
There hasn't been any kind of official statement by the Israeli authorities, but it does...
I'm just like, I don't have a cousin Kelly.
Seem that the Israeli authorities at this hour are very confident that the supreme leader of
If you
Iran,
haven't figured it out, that is also my last name.
Has been killed on this day, the day that marked this military operation.
Welcome to the show.
Of the U.S.
Pep Talks is definitely the place
Israel,
for you.
Targeting sites across Iran, and obviously one of those sites hit
You're a pepper
was the
too.
compound
You are.
used by the supreme leader in the capital, Tehran. So this coming just moments after the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu went on Israeli television to address the nation, and again he called on the people of Iran to seize this opportunity to change the leadership in the country. So if a regime change, if you like, is not the main objective of one of the goals of this operation, is obviously the desire here of the Israeli Prime Minister and also of President Trump, who had a similar message earlier today, right after the beginning of this operation.
Yeah, guys, they're locking down any content that that's talking about that specifically for some reason it's the Israeli angle. So yeah, if you guys can support the show just by hitting the like and subscribe, that I really appreciate that. And you guys can also donate through super chats because I am not able to monetize this stream because of that.
We know that was the initial aim, Hugo, of...
Now I understand what Breaking Points is going through. I get it now. Holy shit, dude.
The Israelis with that attack this morning, conducted...
That's fucking wild. That just really hit me.
Understand in daylight hours because that is when perhaps the Iranian leadership might have felt that they were safer.
That is censorship.
If that is the case, is there a sense then that perhaps the Israelis have concluded their particular mission when it comes to Iran, and that perhaps it's the Americans who will be doing much more of the strikes as we go forward?
Yeah, we simply don't know. I think, if this information is confirmed, Clive, it shows the level of intelligence that the Israelis and possibly the Americans have about the leadership in Iran. We know that the Prime Minister had been defending the idea of military.
No, I've covered this. Just because we don't support going to war doesn't mean that we automatically support the opposition not the opposition, but the leaders of Iran. Like, stop.
Military operation against Iran today.
No, it's up to the people of Iran at this fucking point. And you know what? I said this earlier and I'm going to say it again. I genuinely don't give a shit. I didn't give a shit before this. I just don't want America. I don't want America involved, which here we are wasting billions of dollars again.
Again, he talked about what he described as the existential threat posed by Iran's nuclear program, something that the Prime Minister has been talking about for decades when describing the leadership in Iran, in particular the country's nuclear program. There were negotiations happening between the Iranians and the Americans. We still don't know whether the Americans were engaged.
The War Powers Act, and then we had Article 2, but this doesn't fall within Article 2 because of the fact that Israel was the point man on this.
Goal to achieve a deal to curb Iran's nuclear ambitions, but at the same time, the Prime Minister, most recently, has also been talking about the threat posed by Iran's ballistic missiles. Now, I think the big question here is about what happens next if this information is confirmed. There have been reports suggesting there was a plan in place by the Iranian authorities. Obviously, over the last few weeks, we've heard, threats from President Trump to attack Iran, leaks suggesting that he was contemplating a plan to strike the supreme leader himself, and also this huge military buildup in the Middle East, the largest American military buildup in the region since the US-led invasion of 2003. But if this information is confirmed, who is going to replace him and what kind of leadership is going to emerge in Iran? Obviously, a lot of people have been saying that it is not guaranteed that if there is a change in leadership in the country,
yeah, what the hell is going on in chat?
There will be all of a sudden the opposition in place or
chill the fuck out.
Democracy emerging in the country. So it will be interesting to see what is going to happen next, not only in Iran, but also it's
what I get for trying to fucking pay attention.
In terms of this military operation by the Israelis and the Americans.
Nothing will change. Hey, Dan, how's it going, man?
Yeah, very important development this evening. If those suggestions from the Israelis are true that the supreme leader is in fact dead. Hugo Bashega, live in Jerusalem. Thanks, Hugo.
Okay, here. We got an update. Let's bring that on. Here, actually, I'll play that for a second.
Let's get a word now from our chief international correspondent, Lise Doucette, who joins us. Lise, you will have heard the suggestion from the Israelis. That
one sec, actually. I got an update from this protest. Let's see.
Including reportedly more than 100 students already within Iran. You hear now the chants are getting underway here.
This is in Chicago, yeah. Oh, fuck, yeah.
And around here to give you a...
Oh, yeah, it's Federal Plaza.
And where some of these demonstrations are beginning, the pounding of drums, chanting through bullhorns. I want to take this moment while we wait for the protests here to really get underway in earnest.
Yeah, I mean, this is just starting. Holy crap. Okay. We're gonna keep an eye on this as it grows because I have a feeling it's gonna turn into a march.
In this country, there are corporate outlets with many times our resources.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna be covering this.
That should be on the ground in the way that we are. Constantly on the ground, hearing from people, lifting up the voices of everyday Americans as they come to make their voices heard against their government. Whether that
I'm not sure if you're getting this because of like
that Trump administration is inflicting on American
That's one thing that we know how to do, man.
states through
our protests. Yeah,
its
they bring out the drummers.
enforcement agenda or through its brutal illegal wars that it is carrying out overseas.
No justice, no peace.
We are here to document these stories and cover things in ways that corporate media does not.
U.S. out of the Middle East. No justice, no peace.
And if you think that is important work, please go to statuscoup.com/join. For as low as $5 a month, you go to
Okay,
keep us
so
here on the ground.
like I said, I'm going to keep this on in the background here. We're going to be coming back to this occasionally, but I do want to finish this report real quick.
Supreme Leader is dead. If that is the case, what does that mean in terms of
Also,
this
let's
war?
check this feed. Yeah.
It's an extraordinary moment for the Islamic Republic of Iran if it is confirmed. Even him coming under attack in the first hours of this major military operation, joint operation by Israel and America was significant. The strikes against his residence. But if it is confirmed that he is dead, they have been preparing for this. We've had many reports from Tehran, especially after the 12-day war last year, where on the first night, June 13th, the Israelis were able to kill at least 9 nuclear scientists, assassinated security chiefs, and made it clear that the Ayatollah was in their sights. And therefore, that Iran has been preparing for alternative security chiefs, but also for the succession. There have been reports that a very short list was drawn up that in the event that Ayatollah Khamenei was killed, that someone else would take his place. Now, in Iran,
there was a succession plan.
There is an institutional framework for that.
That's why Trump was doing that thing where he's just like, you got to rise up and you got to do it now. You guys don't have all day. Let's fucking go.
The Assembly of Experts, formed of senior clerics, many of them in their 80s, like Ayatollah Khamenei.
Again, he was in his 80s, man.
Their sole job is to choose the next supreme leader. And there's been speculation.
That's the age of it starts happening.
For many years about who could take his place, including his son Mujtaba, the grandson of Iran's
You make it to your 80s. You've had a good long life, man. My mom, she only made it to 72. My grandma and my grandpa both died at 69. Nice.
Leader Ayatollah Khomeini, who's seemed to have taken a much more prominent role of late. But Iran was prepared for this. And once they come out and confirm that he is dead, they will want to send a message to the world that everything is still in place, that there will be a smooth succession.
So the death of the Supreme Leader, if it's confirmed, Lise, that because the Iranians have been planning for this for many years, you're talking about continuity.
She is aggressively British.
You're talking about a continuation of the same attitude towards
dresses like Dolores Umbridge.
West and the Americans that we've seen in recent years. Does targeting on the part of Israel, the Supreme Leader, actually not change anything?
Clive,
good way to put that.
Like this, in a year like this, at a time like this, to use the word continuity suggests a normal time of. This is not.
Like I said, this isn't going away in a fucking day.
Normal.
No, guys. It's so fucking wild that Donald Trump is out partying right now at Mar-a-Lago, like fucking on the golf course. He's got like a fucking dinner tonight, and he doesn't understand what he just did. I genuinely don't think he gets it.
Anyway, I was really struck.
And there's a part of me that thinks he doesn't care.
On our last visit to Iran, Iran feels like a different country now. The ruling order is different. It's significantly weakened. The people are different after last month's protests were put down with lethal force, killing many thousands. We felt the anger and the pain. It was really raw. This is an extraordinary time.
Yeah, that's usually where the UN would, convene and then decide what to do about, somebody doing that with the protests, but we didn't even fucking try with that one.
I mean, it's very difficult.
He just went right to disingenuously using it for another reason where he's like, we got to go liberate him.
To say
how. It's like, but you just shot 2 protesters and didn't do anything about it. You know what?
How it will unfold. It is, after all, only day one.
Look at the keys. Look at the keys.
Of course, it will be a huge jolt to the Islamic
Maga's just
Republic,
like,
no matter how hard they try. And they will try hard to show that they have a system in place, because there is a system in place.
He
and
definitely
of course,
doesn't care.
In Islamic tradition, he will have to be buried soon after, and you can expect that there will be an outpouring of emotion, because he does have those, his followers, those in the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, whose sole mandate since the Iranian Revolution of 1979 has been to protect the Islamic Republic. Those hardliners could become harder still, but it does open up a whole new game. People talk about the Venezuela example. Could there be, to use the word that Adelcy Rodriguez, could someone else emerge who may want to take a different tack? Whatever it is, their main objective, as it was the main objective of Ayatollah
Narcissists only tend to think about themselves. Yep.
Khamenei, the red line is the survival of the regime, the survival of the Islamic Republic. Individuals can come and go, but what they want to preserve is their power, their control, their presence at the helm of the Islamic Republic of Iran. But all bets are off, given the way.
The thing is, how do we still have no idea? Like, this is where I think that there's a major lapse in intelligence that we are not addressing, because we don't have an idea of who his successors would even be. They apparently kept that so close to the chest that it's just like, oh, could be any of them.
Way this.
Do you think it was any of the 7?
This military operation has unfolded even in these early hours.
Sure thing, Lise. An extraordinary development at this hour, on a day of extraordinary developments. Lise Doucet, our chief international correspondent. It's always good to talk to you, Lise. Thank you for that. Well,
it's weird because, you know, those protesters were interfering with police in Iran, and you seem to not have a problem with that.
The attack today,
come on now,
follows
don't try to pretend.
Weeks of tension right across this region, with U.S. forces massing around Iran. Now, the country itself has launched a wave of retaliatory strikes right across the Middle East in response. Here's Jeremy Bowen, our international editor.
Weird. Really loud.
It is the biggest array of American.
What? Why be so loud?
American power in the Middle East since the invasion of Iraq in 2003. The Americans believe that this time, raw power can impose regime change on an enemy without creating a disaster. The removal of Iraq's Saddam Hussein in 2003 led to a catastrophe. Long years of war that incubated jihadist extremist movements that still exist. Israel and the US went back to war with Iran just after breakfast time in Tehran, hitting the capital and sites across the country.
Oh my God.
It's hard to get information about what's happening there. Video of an attack on a school in southern Iran is circulating. Iranian state TV was reporting 85 killed. This is a dangerous moment with unpredictable consequences in the world's most turbulent region. Israel said the whole operation is a preemptive attack.
Okay,
without producing evidence.
Okay, here we go.
Trump administration's creeping authoritarianism, and while we wait on that, I am going to go back into this crowd and try and interview some of the people who are attending these demonstrations. Pardon me, folks, I'm a reporter. Would you mind if I interviewed you about what you're doing out here today? Like what the message you wanted to deliver? That's all right. What am I out here for? Status Coup, we're an online independent progressive outlet. We also report in Status Coup News. We're an independent progressive outlet. We also report in conjunction with the Midas Touch Network. Pardon me, ma'am. I'm a reporter. Would you mind if I interviewed you about why you wanted to be out here? And the Status Quo News, online independent progressive outlet, and in partnership with the Midas Touch Network. Yeah, sure. Sure? Yeah. What's your name?
Cameron Landon.
Cameron? Nice to meet you. I'm JC. Here, I'll have you just clip that to yourself real quick.
Stop antagonizing the dog.
How do I put this on the thing? There we go. Yep, just like that.
Oh, nice. They actually got like a microphone for these people.
Yep,
Hell yeah.
that's great.
Oh, perfect.
All right, Cameron, if I could have you start, just spell your name or however you'd like to be identified.
My name is Cameron Landon. That's CameronLandin.
Cameron, what made you want to be out here as part of these demonstrations against the war in Iran today?
Well, I stand against United States imperialism. I think what the United States is doing in Iran is very similar to what we did in Iraq over 20 years ago. We've already seen us partnering with Israel, a genocidal state, in killing entire schoolhouses of children. This is not going to lead to the desired effects. I do not see.
I kind of wish they would like go away from the people with the megaphones.
In any way supporting
If
the
they were,
Iranian people.
you know.
I believe that we're doing it for resources, for oil, and I fully believe that the United States Congress should invoke the War Powers Resolution to stop this.
Okay, I can't pay attention to this. It's a little too much. Here, live look at Tel Aviv skyline. Nothing happening there. No sirens. Okay, good. Whoa, what happened here? I didn't realize that.
Long as necessary, it requires patience. I thank my friend President Trump for his historic leadership. He is a leader who stands by his word. Netanyahu says, I spoke with Trump again this morning, and I welcome the close cooperation between.
The US and Israel attack Iran, and Tehran retaliates, firing missiles at Israeli targets and US assets in the region. It follows a massive military build-up by Washington and indirect talks between the US and Iran over its nuclear program. So how dangerous is the situation? This is Inside Story.
Oh, okay. Didn't realize that was the whole thing. Give me one sec. Stop.
Evidence of an imminent threat.
Stop.
Sirens sounded immediately in Israel. War is political, and this is a war of choice aimed at changing the regime in Iran.
Today, in a very powerful surprise attack, we managed to destroy the compound of the tyrant Khamenei. For 3.5 decades, this brutal and cruel tyrant.
You using the term tyrant, man.
Who fought the entire world and made its own people miserable, was constantly trying to eradicate Israel. This plan no longer exists, and all indications show that this tyrant is no longer with us as well.
Satellite images show the destruction of the compound used by Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The Iranians say he wasn't there when it was destroyed. Iran tried to deliver on its threat of a devastating response aimed at the extensive network of U.S. bases in the Gulf. This was Qatar, as well as Israel.
Go, go, go! Get in, sorry.
In Dubai, tourists looking for winter sun had a
You've never heard of the British broadcast channel? What?
nasty reminder of the region's realities. Close by in Bahrain, this appears to be a strike aimed at the big U.S. naval base. Iran says it will use more powerful missiles than the ones it fired in last summer's war. An interceptor rocket went up. Iran will hope that as the days pass, the U.S. and Israel will start running out of.
S. Morgan, the problem is, how? How? The people are not, so Trump just said, go take your country back. Who's doing that?
Defensive missiles.
All this did was just destabilize it.
In Tehran.
And if anything, it actually gave them the ability to put somebody else that could possibly be worse into power.
Regime supporters rallied around the flag. It would take more than killing the supreme leader to destroy the regime.
Yeah.
It has a complex...
I know that this is, again, like, he's about to say a complex idea, right?
Political system under...
Oh, no, complex political system, but all right, it's a complex idea to get behind.
Pinned by ideology, corruption, and...
Wait another C. Yeah, it's literally the same thing as what happened in Venezuela. It was like, oh, we're going to put our own people in. No, we're not. Turns out to be the same exact fucking regime that was there, just minus Maduro.
Ruthless use of force against dissent.
No, BBC is actually like, it's technically state media.
January.
But it's only because it's essentially like PBS.
Big protests against the regime and the economic
If we actually
crisis
funded PBS.
Were crushed with live bullets that killed thousands of people. Donald Trump promised to protect them and seems to believe that the regime will fall if they try again after America and Israel's onslaught.
When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want.
Oh, my God.
So let's see how you respond.
At dusk, the Fairmont Hotel on Dubai's Palm was hit. It isn't clear if it was targeted or if this was caused by missile debris from an interception. The fire took hold. And this was Bahrain. More devastation. Iran has a big arsenal of accurate short-range missiles. Iran's leaders will now be calculating how to ride out the war, how to survive, and how to manage its consequences.
Yeah, and I don't think that we're going to know, like, their whole plan thing. You know, they're not exactly like the Trump administration where they just broadcast what they're going to do.
Jeremy Bowen, BBC News.
Like, you do understand that they were ready for this, and this is also why I'm still skeptical until we, like, get full-blown reports from, like, Iran themselves just saying, oh, here's our new leader.
Some of those
like, there's a chance that this dude could just show up.
Missiles fired by Israel hit the presidential palace, and as we've been hearing, there were strikes around the supreme leader's compound, and the suggestion is from the Israelis that he is now dead. Iranian media is reporting that at least 53 people have been killed in the city of Minab in the south of the country too. Now, Baran Abbasi from the BBC's
I don't think he is.
Persian service has a report.
Again, until Iran comes out and, like,
for you, a warning.
Actually starts doing, like, the, oh, no, ding dong, you know.
Panic on the streets of Tehran around 9:40 a.m.
Dude, NPR is literally, like, just public broadcasting. You can't get any more milquetoast than NPR.
Working day in Iran.
Jesus Christ.
When loud explosions.
Okay, anything that you really are the living embodiment of anything I don't like is woke.
Were heard across the country.
War has started near our office down in Palestine Street. All the buildings were shaking. The streets are full of terrified people.
People just blame the world on being so lonely and fucking just miserable. And never try to grow. They never try to be actual, like, people that you would want to be around. They just turn into this.
At the same time, a sense of relief for some. A woman cries out in joy, says the Supreme Leader's office was hit. And at this school, teenagers celebrate.
Just remember, what you guys are celebrating is something that, you know...
In early January, shocking pictures were shared with the world of thousands of people killed when government forces opened fire on protesters calling for regime change. The brutality left many believing only military intervention could topple the regime. But public sentiment could shift sharply if civilians...
No, this is just them trying to figure out a way to not believe their lying eyes. Because if all news is fake, then it's up to them to decipher.
Killed in the attacks. Many Iranians reacted with...
Instead of actually, you know, studying broadcast journalism, instead of looking up what media laws, you know, have to abide by in Britain or in... the U.S. here, nah.
Anger.
Fake news.
After state...
Only my president tells me the truth.
Media reported that an Israeli strike on a girls' school killed dozens.
The study of how the PSYOP worked on MAGA is going to be fucking studied for years.
Victims of this war are girls in Minab, hit by a missile attack.
All right,
Is this the war you cheer for?
A mixture of emotions. For some, a fear that more violence is yet to come. For others, a sense that the regime's hold could finally be challenged. In a country scarred by months of protest and deadly crackdowns, uncertainty reigns. As the smoke clears, Iranians are left to face the consequences and to hope for a future beyond fear. Baran Abbasi, BBC News.
Baran joins us now. I just want to pick up on the suggestion from the Israelis, Baran, about the possibility that the supreme leader has been killed, has died in one of those airstrikes. What do you think the initial response will be of the people of Iran?
We have had a response from the office of the Supreme Leader saying that this is the psychological warfare and that this is being done by the enemy to discourage the people of Iran and disappoint them. So this is the latest that we are getting, but the satellite pictures that we saw from...
That makes sense, but at the same time, with the whole media lockdown, again, why we're not getting any reports from Iran.
From the compound of the leader earlier, it showed significant damage. And a few hours earlier, State TV has said that they will actually broadcast a statement, a video statement by the Supreme Leader, but it never came. So we haven't had any confirmation that he's...
Can I ask you a question of you? Did you vote for Trump? No.
alive, but his office is
Not
saying
once.
that reports about him being killed
I'm
is
also not too jazzed about the Democrats.
psychological warfare. But on the part of the Iranian people, many would welcome this news if it's confirmed. He was ruling Iran with an iron fist for over 3 decades. He was the longest ruling.
Again, that's what Trump wants for himself. He wants to be 100 years old, just...
leader of Iran after the former Shah
Fake news.
Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi, and he was the longest ruling head of state in the Middle East, and his reign was
This is the way peace is made? What? Rainy girl.
by repeated
Girly pop.
crackdowns on peaceful protesters. He had the final say in all state matters, and
Paul Smith, you're welcome.
was responsible ultimately for the killing of thousands
By the way,
of
guys, if you're
innocent
just joining us, hit that like button and sub to the channel. Really helps me out.
people, and putting in prison a lot of people.
And you know what? It makes you awesome.
Who just were calling for an ordinary life, and he
your
was
awesome
surrounded by hardliners and was against any kind of reform inside of Iran, and he was also very anti-West, and during his reign Iran was isolated and was suffering under sanctions. So for a lot of Iranians this would be welcome news.
Indeed. I mean, it's difficult getting information out. Obviously, communications are tricky. But I just wonder if you've got any sense, Baran, of what the situation is on the ground now.